Hello, and this is Spotlight, not recorded live, here on Grapple Patreon. I'm Benno.
I'm Joe.
And we are here, Joe, for a little special edition of Is It a Spotlight? Is it a Grapple Not Live? I'm not sure which it is, but yeah, thought it'd be a fun opportunity to get you on. Feels like tradition to have you on these shows. You were the Christmas tree in the background, mate. It doesn't feel like it's proper Christmas until we get it. And yeah, you're on that Roman Reigns contract, mate. But we do make sure we get our dates out of you.
It's a hell of a compliment. I'm not sure Matty would approve of that one, to be honest with you. Would he put me on the level of the big dog? Don't know. I'd like to think I've got a big dog Christmas tree there, upgraded this year, 7-footer. So maybe it's the size of the big dog. So there you go.
Yeah, maybe you're on that Cena contract. This does feel like this podcast should be sponsored by Wheatley's American whiskey. Is it? I was going to say vodka. Then is it whiskey? God. I don't know sure what it is. And we should tell people what our combined drinks are. I've got a lovely, it's an Americano from the coffee shop downstairs here in Vietnam. But I can't come up with a pun like Cena. What's it called? You can't see this cocktail or something like that. He said to Cody.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
I was cringing the moment that started. I was thinking, why have I signed up to do this podcast this week? With
It was your idea.
Yeah, I know. And why have I suggested that possibly I watch this 2-hour, whatever that is? Like, it's essentially so I'm constantly in fear of AI, and I was watching that and I was thinking, was one of the things John Cena learned on the set of Bumblebee how to be a robot in disguise? Because that is essentially what he is doing there. Has there been some kind of I don't know if you've seen actually, Benno, but have you seen that the Equity Union, like the Actors Union in the UK, they voted, they were balloted for strike action, and it's based on body scans of their images that can then be used by AIs to generate their image for future projects. So I think it was like overwhelming, like 97% of their members voted to go on strike over this, right? And I'm thinking, if there's one cunt who's not going to vote for that, it's going to be John Cena. And has he already allowed the body to be scanned? And has he already allowed some sort of robotic AI'd version of himself to be created by some, I don't know, tech twat that he's friends with in Silicon Valley? And has he just gone, hey, I got a lot on today. I've got various appearances that I've got to do, and I've got to meet him with various execs. So, hey, one of the robots, why don't you pop down? Speak to Cody today. Take a trip to Atlanta. It's on me. Have a good time. And he's there just talking like as if he's on, I don't know, sort of pre-program mode. And then Cody, what I like about Cody is he's a clearly very intelligent bloke. And he just adapts to the person he's with. So, like, some of the clips of him with Timothée Chalamet I thought were great. But Timothée Chalamet is genuinely quite charismatic and fun, and you see different sides of him. Cena, you see this completely robotic, weird bloke. And Cody just adapts to being a robotic, weird bloke. And he's the son of fucking Dusty Rhodes. Like, that can't be easy when you grow up with that bloke in your house, right? Like, no. Jesus Christ, it was hard to watch.
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that, by the way. Timothée Chalamet did that. He's got a music video out this week with one of the Scouse rappers this week. It's strange to see him using somebody's kitchen, like rapping about chicken and a can of Coke. Yeah, that is a thing that happened this week. Like, I was going to say, like, on Cody and Cena, like, it's proper like the Spider-Man meme, innit? It's proper like, if anything, like, if we take the analogy to a 10th degree, if Cena has been cloned, Cody's like the evil clone, eh? Cody's like he's like the evil Terminator, or the different version of the robot, because like he's got that in him too as well. I almost feel like there's versions of that podcast where it's like Cody chatting to, say, Ricky Starks, and it'll be about like things slip in about like the lads group chat, or like things they've been saying about people behind the backs, and it gets a bit like, you know, a little bit unguarded and a little bit like, oh, this is what Cody actually thinks. So for those of us who remember his old Twitter account, was it Prince CJR? He used to kind of go in on people, and he's got like that very bitchy side of his personality. But then there's other times where, like, you can tell he's used Cena as a model. He clearly wants to be the Cena of this generation, and he is. It's just like he's doing that thing where, like you say, when you speak to somebody, sometimes you need to do like a reflection of their personality. He does that in this Cena interview, but I think he does that a lot in life anyway. He does that when he's speaking to certain people in WWE, or it's how he managed to get past Vince and be like this guy who left AEW and somehow ended up on top of WWE. And it was probably all through doing this weird impersonation of John Cena. So it just brings out the worst in his personality too, I think, as well. Like, he's got that in his locker.
I think maybe it's Cody is like the upgrade. It's like maybe T1000 to his T800, and maybe if he's an AI, he's having the Cena AI fed into the greater model, so we get a greater AI model, and Cody's able to perfect that, so we can do personable better than John Cena can. Because my God, John Cena does not seem like someone I'd want to go for a pint with. I've got to say that.
Not at 9 a.m. Is that what time they recorded? They said it was 9 a.m. They were knocking the whiskies back. Well, the one whiskey, which felt like a work anyway. Didn't feel like a shoot.
No. And also the way he tells the stories about like Mean Gene's cocktails. You're just like, these are like trained anecdotes. Like there's no like actual like organic humor to the way you tell this anecdote. And the reaction feels like it's a man reacting based on how, I don't know, he's been programmed to react to a joke that another program has told him to react to, if anything. It's all very binary, isn't it? It's not very like, think about how we're going around the houses already. It's not very often stuff, is it? It's too clean and too crisp for my liking. And for the audience's liking, surely. How anyone could have sat through that? I know you got further than me, Benno. I think I got 25 minutes in, and I tried to go back to it yesterday. To be honest, I tried to go back to it when I was in the shower, and I got so angry with it. I had to get out of the shower, soak the old bathroom, and I think I put Meltzer on instead to get me through that shower. So, yeah.
A good solution. Like, no, I did exactly that. I threw it on because I knew we were recording today. And like same thing, I was like, oh, it's time for a shower, and I'll just leave it playing while I'm kind of going. I left like the door open over there while it was playing through. But even I couldn't finish it, couldn't get past the last 20 minutes because it's full of a lot of those like wrestler platitudes as well, where it's like they try and intellectualize stuff, but still somehow manage to sound like the two dumbest men in the room. Where like, the way like Cena will be like, oh, I gave people advice, a wrestling match is a conversation with the audience, and like, the best advice I can give you is if you're not having that conversation, you're not doing the job right. And it's like, can you not just say what you actually mean? Can you not actually just give us a real example and a real story and real specifics about what the person can improve or disprove? Because like all you're doing is it's an Undertaker thing. I don't know if you've seen Undertaker's podcast with his fucking wife who's interjected himself into it. That's the same thing though, where it's like, oh, I gave these kids advice and they didn't listen. They didn't take it on board. It's like, because you're speaking in riddles, because you're just saying stuff to make yourself sound intelligent, and they could literally follow your advice to the letter or completely do the opposite, and then it's up to you whether you can pretend that they've agreed with it or you can pretend you followed it. It's just all pseudo intellectual bullshit. It's all like, it's so Vince pilled as well. That's the other thing about Cena. Like, he comes across like, and you can feel it. And like in the interview, he's just got this love and admiration for Vince, and it's all of these like sayings and, like I say, platitudes that he's probably picked up from him over the years that mean nothing, and he just spends 90 minutes just spitting those out, doesn't he, rather than actually having a real conversation and giving you real detail on what he thinks about matches or real detail on what he thinks about his run and how it went and how it didn't go. It's like, who cares? Whatever. We dealt the cards we dealt, and we look forward. We don't look back. I'm always thinking about my next match, not last match. It's all that bullshit, isn't it?
Well, I remember when I was at a WrestleMania one year, I went along, to my shame, to an Access event, and John Cena did a in-ring like Q&A, and it was quite fun seeing him in this like tiny setting where we were basically stood at the ring. It was all a bit weird, and the audience could ask questions. And someone said, what would you say? This must be WrestleMania 25. Yeah, Undertaker Michaels. What would you say is your best match? And his response was, I always say this. My best match is my next match. And I was just and me, Sam, and Cooper were stood there, and we all just went, oh, and like loudly groaned. Like, because it was just like, really? Like, give some personality. Like, tell us how much you loved, I don't know, your match with Edge or your match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. Like, just give us some nugget of like human emotion, or like put someone else over here as well when you're talking about them, rather than just make it about, I don't know, this platitude of Vinceism. Well, I wonder if Vince had an inn in Silicon Valley in 2005, and he was able to get access to some beta testing pre-AI 20-year primitive program. He was able to start maybe like a chip or something was in Cena's head that Vince was programming. Maybe that's why we saw the trained emotion when the Vince interview came up on the screen during Saturday night's main event as well. Maybe Vince had kind of programmed that. So when he was seen, that's when the tears were going to fall. And that's when we were going to open the possible door to the Vince McMahon return at some point. Who knows?
Oh, it's coming one day. Like, you remind me as well of like when, did you see the one where Cena was on the red carpet? And like the guy was like, John, if you could talk to anybody in history, who would you talk to? And then goes, well, let me ask you a question. What's your name? Where are you from? And the guy tells him, and he goes, well, there you go. I had the conversation with the person I wanted to have one with most in the world. And then he walks off like he's just done something, like he's just said something really insightful. It's like, oh, it's just horrible. It's horrible. Because I know there's a real person there. Like, I don't know if you remember, there was like stories last year. He was in Liverpool filming something. I can't remember what it was he was filming, but you know, Gary Matty's cousin, he was filming in his office. Like, they were literally in like the Liverpool waterfront. Yeah, I think Gary said like he saw Cena walking past and didn't stop him. Like, it was too cool for school type of thing. I was like, I would have stopped him. I'd be telling him I was a wrestler if I was you, mate. I'd be getting all kinds out of him. But like, he was here and like he decided just randomly he wanted to go to the gym, and he went, instead of like, you know, finding like a posh hotel gym or like some private members lifting club, he went to fucking JD Gym in the middle of Liverpool city centre. And went in there. I think that was Steph's gym at the time when he was over as well. She was gutted she hadn't gone that day. And like, he's just in there amongst normal people. And then obviously after about 10 minutes, he gets mobbed and he has to leave. But they're the types of thing I want to know the ins. I want to know what was his thinking there? What was his reaction to people coming over? Was he trying to like just live like a normal person? Does he think these things through? Like, they're the layers of conversation I would have with John Cena. I want, like, what's the real man think beneath all of this that makes these fucking decisions or thinks he can go these places, but you never get any of that?
No, because I did not know that about him being in Gary's work. That sounds mental. Like, I thought
two workers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they probably could have planned out a match right there and then, if anything, as well. Maybe he could have. I'm trying to think. Maybe he could have taken John Cena down to the Grantham in Liverpool and shown him the sights and sounds and the legendary wrestling venues there. Is it the Grantham, the place that Ring of Honor was? The Grafton. That's the one. Is that still going?
I think it's still there, Matty. You'd have to tell you. The Olympia where the wrestling was on, I'm pretty sure that still does like the odd. You got like the odd stand-up event or the odd like 80s band or something like that. I'll do a show there. I'm pretty sure, and it probably hasn't had a lick of paint since me and you were in the building, mate.
No, but unfortunately, Cena versus Jiggy Walker should have been the match to kind of fill up the Olympia, if you ask me. Oh, well.
Matty would find his way to work his way into that. He'd get a payday. He'd be special guest ref or something like that. Bringing up like his backyard wrestling championship or something from back in the day.
Rightly bloody so. I'd like to hear more about that at some point. The thing I was thinking with this as well, though, is have you ever watched those? I've never watched it. I've seen clips, and I love taking the piss out of them. But Jake Humphrey's High Performance podcast, or that Diary of a CEO twat, who I think is from The Apprentice. Like, there's such a kind of air of importance and kind of like self-regard with how these are presented as well. And what I find with like a podcast, right, is a podcast is often, as you well know, Benno, successful when people can kind of relate and invest in maybe the personalities and kind of get a nugget of information out of that person, right? And feel like they could sit in a room with them. Like, what's his name? Mamdani was on the Guardian football podcast. And I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. And he was talking about Arsenal as if if he was a normal human being. And I thought, well, yeah, that's relatable. Yeah. And that's something that you can kind of invest in, right? Whereas I just don't know what advice Cena's getting. Like, what are his advisors saying when it comes to showing who he is? Like, it's just so bizarre and high performance-y. And like, there's an element of him that reminds me of sort of a Ronaldo type figure. Yeah. Like this person who's so unbelievably guarded and protected that you lose all kind of sense of being sort of human, if anything. Yeah. Like, he was talking about a flat white at one point. We were talking about coffees before we came on here, Benno. We were talking about the sights, the sounds, not that there are any sights and sounds of coffee in Vietnam. I guess there are in the coffee houses there, which are quite unique. But the flavors we were talking about, the milks as well. He made coffee fucking boring. Like, I love a good coffee. I love a snobby coffee. But fucking hell, he made the flat white seem like the most boring invention in the world. Like, a robotic flat white like, fair play to John Cena because he's managed to impress me on that one.
See, we're proper podcasters. We went 90 minutes before we went on air. That's how you do it properly, lads. Talking coffee and all kind. But to repeat what I said to Joe, I'm an egg coffee man, and I am a salted coffee man out here in Vietnam. But once I go back home, I'll be back on me Americanos and be straight up purest coffee drinks. But like you say, Cedar can't even give you that. You can just to be honest, I was impressed he knew what a flat white was. I'll take that from him that he at least has that level of knowledge about his coffee. But like the analogy was just, it's awful. It's like I've always said it, like going back to the days like when you and JP started this thing. JP was always big on like, oh, we'll do interviews, we'll get wrestlers on, and it's like, not that I was a wrestler of any renown, but having been around wrestlers a lot, like say like a G Walker, he could tell you a story or two, but he'd tell you the same thing. Most wrestlers like haven't got anything interesting to say, and you put them in that scenario. Like I think they forget like who is this for? Like, who wants to hear this fucking bullshit and these platitudes and these non-entity sentences that aren't giving you anything? Everyone's so guarded, aren't they? Nobody wants to open up. No one wants to. No current wrestler's gonna give you a genuine opinion on like what happened with Gunther and Cena, or like go into the weeds on something like that, because they're always going to be thinking at the back of their heads, well, what about my next booking? What if WWE come call him one day? Yeah, Jeff. To be fair, Jeff stepped out of his lane a little bit recently. He's been going all cylinders on WWE. Maybe he's realized that Big Tone is the real big money, and that's maybe it appeals to Big Tone's sensibilities to go in on WWE. Like he was at MSG, wasn't he, this weekend? We're going to talk some spoilers on that later. And he was talking about how WWE blocked AEW from running there in the first place, and he was made up because it got him some cheers. Like he's still got that element to him, so I could see a Jeff like trying to appeal to him, like, and that makes him, maybe he's the exception to the rule, but like most wrestlers aren't going to give you the real story. But you think at least with Cena, like he's on his way out, he'd have something more to say. Because what has he got to guard at this point? Like, what has he got to pretend or to protect?
The brand. There you go.
I guess so.
Protection of the brand. But then, like,
more brand than man, any.
But then you look at some of the stuff Cody does, where he's protecting the brand, but he's also making the brand more relatable at the same time. And I think it's the whole thing around what I find with WWE and Cena and this whole retirement thing is there's such a level of overthinking everything. So like the whole finish to the Saturday Night's Main Event and the bloody smile, like you could just tell he was sat there thinking, hey, I'm just a man who's content. I'm out to heaven. I've accepted my fate. I know where I'm going, and I've seen the pearly gates, and the pearly gates are opening for me. And I'm stepping in there, and I'm happy to see God. And God welcomed me. And it's been a great career and a great time. But here I am, and I'm going to win her. And you can just think that was probably in some weird way the reason he thought, I'll just put this ridiculous smile on my face as I decide to do the sort of limpest tap that you could ever possibly see in a match. Like, just that whole situation and his explanations of it have just been like, come on, mate.
It's funny. It made me double down because, like, you probably heard us say on the podcast, like, me and Matty were both like, Cena should have lost, Gunther should have gone over. And if you didn't want to do that, I don't think you booked the match. I think you booked Cena against somebody you can beat, because I think Gunther as a monster heel is someone you don't want to beat in that scenario. But my one caveat was, they probably have him pass out rather than tap out. Him giving, like, say, that limited explanation, even with Cody, where it was kind of like, the old cowboy going off into the sunset, tapping out kind of story he tries to tell, or the Obi-Wan Kenobi explanation that he gives. All it made me think was, oh fuck, maybe people were a little bit right in that. If you were going to do that and it was going to be like this last dance, then you probably should have passed out rather than tapped out. That probably would have made a lot more sense if it was supposed to be like your dying breath, which is kind of the way he told the story. It made me think even less of that, as much as this entire Cena run, to be honest, has made me think less of the man.
He should have consulted his former brother-in-law, sort of brother-in-law, Bryan Danielson, on the best way to go out. And and consulted him on the sleeper hold as a way to retire as well. But I'm sure he wasn't too aware of that, because if I was to compare it to a similar situation, that's the most similar, really, isn't it, in terms of retirement? And the way that was done was kind of, in hindsight, it really did work, as much as it took the Death Riders a little while to get up and going. But it sort of put that heat on them straight away, and actually there wasn't the overthought, and he was just plain out and in the body bag. There's not this whole, I don't know, ceremony that happens around it. And I get that you need the ceremony with Cena, but if you want that ceremony, maybe just think about, I don't know, a different route to get to that ceremony. Like, I think you're right. I think he probably should have lost if he was going up against Gunther. I think there are other matches that he possibly could have won. If you put him against Dom or someone in his last match, I think with Dom beating him previously, he could have easily won, and that would have been fine. And actually, Dom would have got a rub from that in some way, just being in.
He could have used that, couldn't he? Like,
yeah, and he would have got some sort of heat out of it as well. But yeah, just the whole manner of it. I was honestly, when I was watching it, I was watching it in the kitchen while my wife was cooking, cooking me a great meal, mind you. And I've got a spin bike, so I go on the spin bike in the kitchen now and put some wrestling.
This is new Joe Law. You've got a spin bike.
Oh yeah, we inherited it from someone. It was a free spin bike, and I got some weights. So I can't play football anymore because I sprained my left ankle in July 24 and broke my right ankle this year in March.
Well, and stuff this.
Oh mate, my ankles are fucked, so I can't play anymore. So I've had to like rethink how I work out. So the bike and the weights perfect for watching wrestling. And I was on the bike.
Meltzer stuff this. Do you know that's what Meltzer always says? He only works out while he watches Raw. I think you're following the great man's lead. He just does Kales while he's watching the 3 hours of Monday Night Raw or whatever hours it is on Netflix now.
Well, he's a masochist for watching Raw in the first place, let's be honest. So you may as well punish yourself even more. But yeah, taken from the great man himself. But I was on this bike, just started pissing myself. I can't remember the last time I laughed to such an extent. My wife was very confused, and like the laughter just didn't subside. And it was to the point where I was walking around the house, maybe like an hour later, laughing to myself. After I finished my workout, I got in the shower. A lot of me in the shower on this episode, actually. And I was just laughing to myself in the shower. Like I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And every time I thought about the image, I was just laughing. Like, yeah, possibly the fun, in my opinion, the most unintentionally funny moment in WWE history.
Yeah. And it sums up Cena as well, doesn't it? I think I said that to you in our private chat. It's like the most John Cena way to go out to, because of course he's trying to tell this serious moment and tell this serious story, but of course he's going to pull a funny John Cena face at the end of it, and that's going to be the thing we all remember. Like, it was the same thing, because I think I said to you, I went into it spoiled, knowing that he was tapping out, thinking maybe he should pass out, but I'll wait till I see it with my own eyes. And then when it did happen, and like when he does pull that face, I just burst out laughing. I was like, I guess at least the one positive thing you can say about it is it's the most John Cena way to go out here, the most hammy, like ham-fisted, knucklehead, like John Cena way to do it, because that's exactly what we got.
Yeah, and now I guess we're going to get appearances of AI John Cena from heaven when he decides to turn up, right? Like maybe the second coming is, on the
JP, get on it. He'll be working on that.
WrestleMania, I guess, is usually around Easter, isn't it? So maybe Cena can rise again come WrestleMania when it coincides with Easter. Be interesting if he decided to do that in Saudi, though, wouldn't it? That would be a bit of a juxtaposition.
I can't believe he doubled down on that as well. Like that was literally his answer to Cody's question. Like, what's your favorite match of all time? And he managed to like turn it into, well, my favorite moment of all time was when Philip Brooks, and we'll call him Philip Brooks, when Philip Brooks apologized to Saudi. What a beautiful moment of humanity coming together. I was like, that's the bit where you tap into emotion. That's the thing that means something to you. Like, I've seen people say he's doing a bit. I don't think he's doing a bit. I think he genuinely thinks that's the right answer and that's the right thing to say. Like, fucking hell. Like, I don't know what you think about that, but Jesus, this is not the Phil Brooks we knew.
Well, there's a lot I can say about CM Punk and CM Punk this year. Bloody hell. But if that's the way to go into it, I honestly think there's something around control and how they've been able to control his personality and basically put a lead on him. And I think that was possibly a pre-planned line that was maybe agreed with like a Nick Khan or someone to basically almost like, I think they're getting off on sort of humiliating Punk and also saying, you are ours and you've done so much damage to your previously credible sort of self-image and public personality that we are going to hammer home that damage, and you are now a company man because you have done company things, and we're going to hammer that home so that you know it, and so that the wrestling fans that adored you also know it, so you lose them and you can only rely on us. And it's a bit like in Succession, where Kendall ends up back with Logan Roy because he's like the only one he can turn back to because he's tried everything to get out, and at the end of it, he's just ended up kind of back where he was, but in an even worse position. I'm not saying Punk's in a bad position. He's being paid a silly amount of money and he's headlining shows, but my God, I sort of wonder, how's he actually feeling inside? Is he happy with himself? Is he happy with this? Like, he's
one where you might find that out. In a couple of years, you might get the real story out of Phil. But the thing about him right now, I said it to Martin the other day on his show, like, he's a man driven by spite. So, like, what's the thing he can stick to the haters? How can he stick it to the haters the most? It's by just playing good company boy and by doing stuff like this and by pretending he's happy and doing the same thing like he's in interviews. Like, maybe it's catching. Maybe it's not AI. Maybe it's just, like, some kind of brainworm disease in WWE. But he's talking about, like, oh, it's the best work of my career. I'm having the best matches. I'm doing the best promos. It's like, no, you're fucking not, mate. And I don't think the actual Phil Brooks would genuinely believe this. Maybe Drew program aside, but, that's way in the rear view by now. Like, yeah, I think it's catching that brainworms that the WWE feed you. Maybe they inject you with something when you resign.
Well, clearly this run of CM Punk, he has been injected with some serious shite, because the shite that's coming out of his mouth as well. And I remember I had to sort of hate watch the Stephanie McMahon, whatever that, Stephanie's People or something. What's that show called?
Oh, that's another one, yeah.
WWE Propaganda. When he was on that, I had to kind of hate watch it, because I was like, I can't believe the extent to which he's going here. And I can't believe the extent to which he's leaning in. And he's basically saying, you own me now. You basically shape my entire previous being, take that over and allow me to just become this company stooge. And it's sad to watch, to the point where I find I can't watch him in WWE in the same way anymore. Like previously, if I'd have flicked through a show, I'd have tuned into his match or promo, but the credibility of anything he has to say at this point is kind of dead. And he's tried to keep it up with these like cutesy little lines here and there. Like the fact I never name a CM Punk's dog. Why do I know the name of CM Punk's dog? Like, I'm trying to think of other who else do I know personalities? Who else do I know the dog's name? Like I knew Roy Keane's dog's name after the 2002 World Cup fallout. What was it, Triggs? But that's because I read that in Roy Keane's book, and that became an in-joke between me and some mates that Roy Keane was taking Triggs for a walk, right? But that was a comedy dog. Like, I know CM Punk's dog died, and poor Punk and AJ and whatever is Larry. There we go.
Larry. But, yeah, merch. It said Larry on it.
Yeah, what? Come on. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, the damage that dog did to the wrestling industry. I sort of thought, is this a bit of a bit that you're doing as this tribute with this merch? Because you're basically saying, my dog basically kind of changed the momentum in the wrestling war to an extent. Not the bloodline. It was Larry.
It always feels like it's what he can get away with. Like, can I convince Triple H to let me wear a hoodie that says my dog's name on it? Like, Tony Khan let me get away with it. Will this lot get away with it? Because like maybe those little points of rebellion are kind of what he needs to keep going and like keep believing his own bullshit. But yeah, it's fucking tough. It's like I've come to the point where I've been talking about him. Like even CM Punk at 60%, it's still CM Punk. I think we get towards 50% now. Like the Raw last week and this week, he went head to head with Gunther this week, and that there was a little bit of something there. You can tell he's got something to sink his teeth into, and he's working with Gunther. But then next week he's going to go back to building a match with Logan Paul and acting like he gets Logan Paul or he likes working with Logan Paul, and it's just like, oh mate, I'm not even sure about a 50% at this point.
And I've got to say, the CM Punk Gunther match at SummerSlam, I thought was an actively bad match as well.
Yeah,
it was a bloke who was blown up, who can't really go to the level he wants to anymore, laying on a mat forever, killing time to get to a finish.
He overthought it massively.
Yeah, hugely. And even the layout of his matches now, whenever I watch them, I'm not, I don't know, I just think there's something off. He can't go at the level he clearly wants to go. It's a great shame because someone that I genuinely loved as a wrestler has decided to sacrifice himself for the greater good of the brand, if anything.
Yeah. Got him in the Observer Hall of Fame this year, though. There's still people out there who it's like he was never a Hall of Famer until he went back to WWE and he kissed the ring and he got this top level run, as world champion. That was enough to put some people over. Like for me, if anything, it's like it's hurt his legacy more than anything. It's made me think less of him. It's like, again, to take it back to Cena. Cena's year this year has made me think less of John Cena. It's made me think, oh, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe like the shit I was saying, like it was shit people say about John Cena being like this all-time great and being the GOAT and all that. I've kind of bought into, and I watched this year unfold and was like, no, I don't really like his work. I don't like his promos. I don't really like the man. We had the fucking terrible heel run this year. Maybe I was right all along about Cena. And like I say, like that last year made me realise that rather than made me miss him. And I almost feel like that's kind of happening with Punk a little bit, maybe not to the same extent.
On the Cena bit, what I don't understand about the last year is, and it's on Cody as well, it sort of plays into this. So we're coming full circle here, Benno. But with Cody,
podcasters.
Yeah, you've got this guy who is the new John Cena, right? Is massively over, is selling out these insane houses, these mad gates they've been getting, right? You've got someone who is made at that top level that they've not really had since sort of Austin Rock era. I'm not saying he's at that point, but was sort of beyond Cena to an extent, right? But then you've got this guy who comes along and goes, hey, I only want one a year. I'm going to take a year off and I want to do 200 matches. Bollocks, did you? Can I come back? And you just sort of think, yeah, all right, that's a good business decision there. But you could have probably done that separately to Cody. And in the way that AEW, for all its flaws, does almost like these stories that exist in their own kind of bubble. I think you could have put Cena in his own bubble rather than kind of sacrificing Cody for a year where he's less over than he's been in his entire WWE run. His storylines have been really quite uninteresting. They almost feel like we need an opponent for Cody. Okay, let's do this. Let's carry on with this. Let's just carry on with this. And you give the entire year to someone who's on his way out, whose best days are over. I get it from a business standpoint, but also that's kind of short-termism. And it's kind of led to a lot of the kind of, I guess, backlash and negative press they've got this year. And the way I sort of think about it, right? What are we in 2025, right? Cena comes sort of as a made man in 2005, 2006. In 2005, 2006, if Hulk Hogan or Macho Man Randy Savage decided they wanted one final year, would you have sacrificed John Cena and kind of put John Cena down the card to basically run your entire promotion around the Hulkster or the Macho Man? Like, it's not going to happen, is it? Like, you kind of know where that person is slotted in position. And you can make the argument that, yeah, he's a Hollywood actor now and he's got these big projects, but there's a use that he could have had that wasn't going to sacrifice Cody's level of, or the major number one star's level of overness, credibility, and connection with the audience. And I feel like that is really frayed this year.
Yeah, massively. And it's the booking as a whole, but like I think that's a big ingredient of it. It's derailing whatever Cody's run was going to be this year to do whatever the fuck we did with Cena this year. Like that's absolutely the case. And like I think the damage is clear. Like it's funny, like WrestleMania, was it this year? Was Matty at this year's WrestleMania or was it last year? No, it was this year, wasn't it? Like he was talking about like the fans turning on Cody and like, using that as like, how he'll be, Roman's really the guy, Cody's not. See, the hardcores really hate Cody, that's it. I remember at the time arguing with him and I think I stand by it. It was like, this was of the moment and kind of their own creation in a lot of ways, but mostly just those fans in that building deciding to kind of have a moment with Cody and also go along with Cena because they wanted to go along with Cena because actually what everyone wanted to do this year was cheer Cena, not boo him. So I didn't read anything into it at the time, but it does feel as like time's gone on and as the year has gone on, we kind of are at that point with Cody and it's through, I think you could be at a point where Cody is still very clearly a babyface you shouldn't turn and the number one guy with a bullet and no, reason to doubt it. But I think they've got to a point now where it's like they almost have to turn Cody. But I say that with like a pinch of salt because I say they have to. They also won't. With Triple H's booking the way it is, would it shock you if another 2 years go by of Cody's kind of overness, like dissipating, but he's still got the belt and he's still working Solo Sikoa and he's still working whichever card that they throw at him. And then eventually in 2.5 years when it's too late, then they turn him heel. Like, I think Cody's going to be... That'll be the booking as much as anything, but he's a victim as much of the booking as he is as, the Cena element.
he was in, I think there are two big things in 2025. And I think in a way, the story of WWE in 2025, the real story might be the way that they basically degraded and demoted their major star. And it started on that first Netflix with The Rock doing that word, hey, my friend Cody Rhodes in the front row. Yeah. What the fuck's going on here?
That was this year. That's the start of it. You're totally right. That's the start of it. That moment where he's just a fan in the crowd.
Yeah. And we had a year of, like, I think to myself, I was in Brooklyn in 2024 and saw Raw was in Brooklyn. I was like, oh my God, The Rock's going to be there. I've never seen The Rock live. I need to go. I'm loving this Cody Rock storyline. It got me to go to a Raw when I was on holiday, like in 2024. I never thought that was ever going to happen again, right? I loved that storyline. I think we all kind of did. It felt like we were going to get felt like Cody Rock was the direction. I think that was without a doubt, the hottest match in wrestling. You blow that off, and then you move him into another match that isn't as hot, and you make him look like absolute shit in the match, and you give him nothing in the match. The feud is terrible. So you've got two, and then the whole thing with The Rock and the Cody Rhodes soul as well. So you've really used your number one guy as a kind of pawn in a game, and kind of have sacrificed him as a pawn in the game to where he is now, which is nowhere near as over and nowhere near as, I guess, fun to watch, and doesn't have a feud that's as hot. Because it also felt like that first year of Cody's run, he was in a holding pattern just waiting for The Rock. It felt like, right, come January, come that Netflix special, that's when we get WrestleMania underway. That's when we reheat the Rock Cody feud, and that'll kind of get things going again. And it just didn't happen.
No, it didn't. And like, they laid all those foundations. Didn't you remember like the thing they put in Cody put in Rock's, oh no, Rock put in Cody's hand, and it was all this like mystery that was going to get paid up. They threw all that away. Again, you reminded me we're doing the awards at the end of the week, the Grappies and Crappies. Like, it's blown my mind that literally you can draw the start of Cody's year and the start of the Fed's fall to that Netflix debut, and to blowing all that up just to give Dwayne a nice moment. Because like, as much as he's been a victim of Cena, if anything, he's been a victim of like this Cold War that's happening behind the scenes with like Dwayne Johnson and Brian Gewirtz and whoever's on his side, and the Paul Levesque, Nick Khan side. Like, there's clearly like, he's been caught in like the fire of that, hasn't he? Between like the feud that's been going since 1996 with Triple H and Rock. He's still bitter that Shawn and Triple H tried to get him booted in 96 when he was trying to make his way through, and was getting over with the nation. Like, Dwayne doesn't forget.
Well, I'm sure The Rock was grinning and laughing to himself when Triple H came out of Saturday night's main event, which was hilarious.
Oh yeah, doing the voiceover and all of that as well, making sure he gets he's front of camera. Like, I love that too though as well. That is again tying to the Netflix thing, like as a broad strokes thing this year. Like, that's just Triple H. Like, did he not make a roll for his own back by going on this fucking Netflix show and telling everyone, no, I'm the genius behind this? You know, you might hate that wrestler or you might love that wrestler, but it's actually me that's telling Jacob Fatu how to walk. It's actually me that's booking all this stuff. Like, of course he was going to get that reaction. Of course the heat was going to go in. I was telling somebody in our YouTube comments, like, it reminds me, like, I think we all had this realization back in the ROH days. I remember going to a Chicago show when Jimmy Rave beat CM Punk. They did the whole thing where, you remember when Prince Nana used to have like I can't remember what he called the spray. It was like some kind of, you'd have like the what were they called? The Outcast Killers walking behind him, spraying those bath salts or those scents or whatever like that. And Jimmy Rave used it to beat CM Punk and roll him up. And I remember like me and all my ROH mates at the time being fuming about it because we'd seen CM Punk lose in Chicago. But we weren't mad at Jimmy Rave. We were mad at Gabe Sapolsky. We were walking out, swearing, fuming. Kerry Silken tried to shake our hands on the way out the building. We almost didn't want to shake his hands. We were that mad at him. And then like a few hours later, we're just in like this bar somewhere in Chicago. And I just kind of looked at me, mate Justin was like, do you think we're just mad that CM Punk didn't win? Do you think that's actually what this is? Do you think that's actually what the reaction is that we're feeling? But we're directing it at the booker rather than the heel. Like, I remember realizing that 20 years ago. It feels like Paul Levesque has learned that this year. Like, oh, right, if I do that and I put myself front and center, yeah, the heels aren't actually going to get the heat, are they? It's going to be me. Because he fucking loves it when he gets the plaudits. But like, it almost looked like a surprise to him that he got this heat when it's a surprise to fucking nobody else who's seen Big Nose put himself front and center of everything in 2025.
But it's also the lack of kind of thinking on your feet, like the whole handshake moment. Like, why did you do that and make it even worse? Like, surely you called an audible. And I saw, what's his name? I haven't forgotten his name. The Undertaker was like stood next to him. Why not just send the Undertaker up on the apron to shake his hand? That that's going to get people to cheer. You know that's going to be a moment that you can still use and all the rest of it. Like, it didn't need to be you in that moment, but it's almost like that creak of the ego. Do you know what I mean? He can never ever kind of give that moment to someone else. It's always got to be him, no matter the reaction. My worry is
Undertaker to do it as well. He'll do anything for money these days. Like, I don't know who he is in this analogy, but like, he is literally like to do these lapdog at this point. Like, I think he had like the story behind the story is he had like loads of like real estate investments or something that went down in the pandemic, and now he'll pretend he likes lucha. He'll do a podcast with his wife, and he'll do whatever Triple H tells him. So like, he'd do anything, wouldn't he, to for a little payday? He'll take all the bullets for you. He'll be the one in the office who takes the grief. He'll be the one in Succession who takes the fall when it's when the cruise ship crisis happens or something like that. That's him.
Frank in Succession. That's who he would be.
Frank. Yeah. Frank, perfectly. That's it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
And also the most boring man in the world. Like, never as a man who showed so little personality when he was a wrestler. Well, not, you know what I mean. In the gimmick, he showed personality through the gimmick, but in terms of revealing himself, his actual reveal of who he is, I'd rather him just, carried on with the gimmick, to be quite honest with you. I saw Kane was kicking off at Mick Foley for...
was he? Oh, I haven't seen that.
As well. Yeah, I didn't see the video. I saw some like headline about it. But you just reminded me with the MAGA wrestlers that are all out there.
Brothers of MAGA.
Say it again.
The Brothers of MAGA, Undertaker and Kane.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess Trump wasn't there, was he, at Saturday night's main event? And we were kind of expecting that. So one less thing that but I'm sure he would have got booed as well. If Triple H is getting booed like that.
That's true, actually.
I can't see. When you consider, and I think this is the thing we take for granted, when you look at the makeup of wrestling crowds, so many wrestling crowds are quite diverse, right? In terms of their makeup. Look at Hogan in LA last year, right? You're in LA, right? Hogan's gonna get booed out of the building when you look at the kind of demographic of who's going to go to a wrestling show in LA at this point. And I think that's the thing that is kind of underfought a lot of the time when it comes to actual modern wrestling crowds, which are completely different to UFC crowds at this point, which are moneyed morons in, I don't know, with their big pythons acting like they've just stopped listening to a rerun of a Charlie Kirk podcast that was probably telling them what to think, and now they've put on a Tucker Carlson podcast and turned up at the arena to cheer on Trump as if it's the 1936 Olympics when he comes out. I'm not sure where I'm going with this point, so we'll stop.
# change my mind.
Yeah. Although
I think there's enough of the WWE fan base, who would be. It wouldn't be like UFC, would it? Where it's like uniform cheers when Trump comes out. I think there'd be people who cheer. The would, of course, though, because the MAGA company, like Triple H was on. I don't know if you've seen the video on the White House lawn today. They posted a video of him like telling people how to eat healthy over Christmas. Like, not listening to you, Mr. Fucking Steroids with a dodgy ticker. What the fuck do you know about staying healthy over the Christmas period? Like, they are the MAGA company now, and everything that entails. But I still think, like you say, there's a good enough percentage that would rebel against it.
Yeah, they sort of leaned in gradually more and more, haven't they? It's almost like they've been testing the waters sort of over and over. And I guess, well, when we eventually get maybe a Trump appearance, is that going to open things up for Vince to have a little comeback as well at some point? Who knows?
Oh, Christ. Cena will be back for that, won't he? He'll have that one more match then. If he can get that one more time, sharing the ring with old Vince. You know,
Vince's Hall of Fame induction, maybe.
Oh, one day, if not Cena's. If he turns up to that, wouldn't be. When they did that, because there was a bit of a thought about that, at the end of the show, when like Triple H, Undertaker, Stephanie, and I think Cena, they were the only ones allowed through like the proper entrance, and all the other wrestlers kind of had to disperse to the sides on Cena after Cena's last match, and there was a lot of talking. Who was backstage there? What was the reason that like only 3 or 4 people were allowed back into Gorilla? I'm still waiting for it to break that Vince was actually there after all, but. Yeah, if it wasn't then, it's fucking coming. But I was going to say to you, do you have any other... We'll move on to some AEW matters, but any other... Cena and Cody brought us here. Any other closing thoughts on WWE? Do you want to talk more coffee? I talked to you about Vietnamese beer, to be honest, as well. When I went down to the coffee shop, I picked up some beers as well. I don't know if you had a favourite from when you were in this town. We had a 333 man. We had a beer Saigon man. We had a beer Hanoi
Yeah.
man. Don't know what was it. What was your favourite?
A beer of Saigon, I was a big fan of. I think they sponsor Leicester. I think it's on their.
Do they?
On their,
I've never noticed
the
that.
shoulder, yeah, the shirt. Yeah, the Hanoi one I remember as well. I can remember the cheapest beer I got was the 333 one when I was in Hue, and it cost me the equivalent of 15p for a bottle of one.
It's insane, eh? It's sweet as well, but it's nice. It's a nice beer.
Yeah. Vietnamese beer generally was fine, and for the price,
Yeah.
I could not complain. Looks like you're gonna have yourself quite a night there, Benno, with that selection of beers.
Getting set for Christmas, having a few in. Did you ever go to any of like the beer Hoi places they have here, where it's literally just granddads and uncles? They'll be like sat outside topless, and they're like these places where I don't know where they get the beer from, but it's like these tankers of beer, and they'll just pour you a glass, and it costs about 10p. Yeah, it's like 10p a go.
It comes out like a hose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to one in Hanoi, which was really cool. Like, as far as like an experience, you feel like you're properly sort of like, I don't know, getting involved with the locals when you're
Definitely,
there.
yeah. I might do that on Christmas Day. That might be my plan.
Oh, do it, mate. Christmas in Vietnam, that'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. See if I get invited to it. That's the other thing. You're always in danger of being invited around to a family's house or something. They're always they're so hospitable here and so nice. But I'll probably be in watching Christmas films and having a few tiny cold beers there as well. But yeah, did you? Was there anything else you wanted to throw in?
I say it's been a really bad year, to be honest with you. Like, I would watch bits here and there intermittently. At the point where I'd watch all the pay-per-views all the time. That's really stopped and kind of dried up, if anything. I think SummerSlam was the last point I thought, nah, can't watch this. I think the Punk rap in Saudi was a kind of like, moment to sort of break with the company, if anything. What I will say is, as far as WWE goes, my favorite reason for WWE now existing are yours and Matty's reactions to WWE shows. I always
shit when we agree, innit? I hate that when Matty sees sense and he's on my side.
Yeah, but I always look forward to the kind of like your little like spiky comments that challenge his kind of quite idealized WWE views a lot of the time. Great chemistry always makes for a good laugh.
Got to be careful as well, because he'll throw things in under the radar. Like he'll just throw in, Jey Uso is obviously one of the most over wrestlers in WWE history. But anyway, and then he'll say something else that I have to challenge, and that one just gets through. He's clever about it. He'll find his way. He'll find his way to get his points in. He plays 3D chess. Does that matter?
I feel like he's trying to come back on claiming that Jey Uso was good though recently. He's always making comments where he's trying to sort of undo his kind of Jey Uso history. Like there was almost an acknowledgement recently of him not being that good in the ring.
Yeah, he always said that. He always believed that. He always agreed. He never thought that he should beat Roman Reigns. He never thought he should be the next world champion. That's what's coming next. But you gotta love. We'll have to get you on in 2026. That's a New Year's resolution for me. Get you on one of those reviews with the three of us, because I know you'll put him through his paces as much as JP try. But it was funny. You had that little period where I think they got you back a little bit, WWE. A lot of that was felt like it was Dominic Mysterio led, but we might talk about it at the end of the show. But yeah, sadly they've lost you again, mate. I'm sure Matty's upset about it too.
Yeah, I think it was seeing CM Punk have a midlife crisis and watching Cena AI himself through the promotion, while Cody, who I had real investment in because of the AEW stuff and the self-made man stuff, basically not get his due this year and be, kind of, I guess, abused by the promoter. Not abused, that's probably an overstatement, isn't it? But not treated.
Everyone's getting something out of it.
Yeah, not treated properly by the promotion and they've not really understood what they've been onto him. And I'll be honest, I can't be bothered with Roman Reigns. Like, oh, he's away. Oh, he's back. Oh, here's 10 minutes of an entrance to celebrate this guy coming back, when he'll be away again in a month, and he'll come back to this again at this point. And also stuff like this Vision. I quite like Bron Breakker as a wrestler, but does Heyman need a break? Like, Heyman has been there now consistently for 12 years, maybe? I just think you've got to give Heyman a break at some point, because the act is, as great as he is, the act is kind of stale at this point.
He's been cutting the same promo for 6 years, hasn't he, at this point, pretty much?
Yeah, and I don't understand why he doesn't want a break either. I find it kind of weird. He usually knows, like, he's usually smart enough to know, like, when his time is kind of due, if anything. And it just feels like he just
really tapped in.
Yeah, wants to be around it at the moment.
You're saying you're not an Austin Theory fan then? Not back from the Evolve? I think he did Dragon Gate UFC days.
Jesus Christ.
Was he there when you were living in New York? Is that way too far in the air?
Oh, mate, I lived in New York in 2009.
Oh, right. Okay, which is old then. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It was a few years later that. Not too many, though. Probably about 2015.
I lived in New York when Nigel McGuinness was the Ring of Honor champion.
Great days.
Yeah, it was all right. It was on the kind of tail end of kind of the glory years, I guess. So, yeah.
Gabe's last stand, all of that. That's a shame. Well, but yeah, I don't think anybody's an Austin Theory guy, to be fair, other than Vince McMahon, which again bleeds into the conspiracy theories. But I was going to say to you, I suppose moving on from WWE into some AEW chat, I'm probably going to put it in the title. This is like a kind of an unofficial World's End preview because I'm sure people will understand there won't be a full weekend show with it being Christmas Day and Boxing Day this week, and we've got the grappies and crappies to get to at the weekend. But good way into kind of talk about what your overall thoughts are going into World's End week. I know you were half thinking, weren't you, of going to the Manchester show? You didn't bother in the end, making the big drive up. I think you couldn't make the Cardiff show, could you, in the end? But yeah, I mean, what's your level of interest going into this big week, apparently, according to AEW? And yeah, speaking of New York, we got a New York Dynamite coming up on Wednesday as well. I think is it Hammerstein? I'm pretty sure it's Hammerstein.
Yeah.
Again, not the same. Not our Hammerstein, mate. Not the Hammerstein that you got. Did you get lost in there one day? Weren't you going up like through the elevators trying to find was it the Manhattan Center? I can't remember what the story was.
I've probably told that story before, but I lived in student accommodation in the New Yorker hotel when I was in New York. So I lived
home of Joe Kobashi, New York hotel.
I lived in the venue that Joe Kobashi was in. Trust me, the student accommodation in the New Yorker hotel was not plush. It was like an army barracks in there. But I did sneak up to the hotel floors, which you could get to, and I stole some bedding from the hotel floors, kind of slyly. So I did have plush bedding and an absolute it was like a proper prison type mattress that I was sleeping on. But yeah, you could get into the Manhattan Center and then into the Hammerstein through the New Yorker hotel because it's attached. And I can remember when Black Label Society, like Zach Wilde, were playing there. Not that I'm a fan of them, but I can remember trying to walk through a certain bit, and I got into the Manhattan Center like backstage through walking through the hotel, and then came to like a dead end where you couldn't get up a certain staircase. It was all a really odd setup, and there's they're all. I didn't realize that the New Yorker hotel with Joe Kobashi was probably used because it was connected to that whole Hammerstein setup, if anything. But yeah, legendary venue. I think I went to Nigel McGuinness versus Kenta main event when I was living there.
I remember that match.
It was pretty good, although Nigel was fucked, and he was struggling to lift Kenta up. And there was a really good Steen and Generico against Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards match. Oh, and Danielson and Cabana made their comeback after their
that period when he was filming Wrestling Road Diaries then.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. And I think they were against Jimmy Rave and someone, actually, from what I remember.
That sounds great.
That was great. That was really good. Yeah. So it was a fun show. God, trip down memory lane, Benno.
That's the thing. Like, it's just so shit. Like GCW obviously ran the not the Manhattan Center, the Hammerstein itself to do their pay-per-views, and it's just it just looks shit. And when AEW ran it last year, it's like because they've painted it over kind of silvery grey, and it just doesn't look as cool. As much as I joke about the Olympia not getting a fresh coat of paint in Liverpool, it's better for it because you want it to look like it always looked. Like, it's diminishing returns for me, that entire thing. Really, it's not a bad idea, but yeah, it doesn't didn't really work for me. But obviously they got those shows coming up in New York this week, and again, I'm throwing this in because I'm sure most people are going to be listening to this over Christmas. There are going to be spoilers for this week's Dynamite because I don't think anyone's getting it in. You said to me off air, Joe, it's just too much this week, isn't it, to fit it? World's End's on Saturday. Who's watching Dynamite on Boxing Day, like the day before, to fit it all in and catch it all up? I think most people are going to be spoiled on it, so fair warning, but we're obviously going to talk about the outcome of it and the Continental Classic and who the semis and the finals are coming up. But with that warning in mind, how have you found the TV the last while? Have you found the Continental Classic going into the pay-per-view, obviously the pay-per-view matches again, fair warning, the Continental Classic semi-finals, we've got Okada Takeshita as the first semi, which I'm shocked at. I thought they were saving that for Japan or something down the line, but I guess it was always written in the stars we were going to get here. And Moxley, Kyle Fletcher is the other semi, which is, again, two disparate stories they've been telling in this tournament, but probably the expected semi-final. But yeah, what have you made of it so far, and what do you make of those as semis and a potential final as well?
Well, it's an interesting one because I find Dynamite, and if I'd watch Collision, quite an easy watch whenever I watch it, and I'm entertained each week. Like I'm never really bored while watching it. But there are so many things that I think could be so much better. Continental Classic generally, I think, has been decent. It's kind of hard to go wrong when you've got groups of talented wrestlers getting a reasonable amount of time to wrestle, and especially in a tournament when you've got more jeopardies, you've got more angles around the booking that you can kind of put into it as well. So it gives you a little bit more of a kind of bit of variety, doesn't it, in terms of what you can do in the matches and how you can sort of lay those matches out, if anything. So I've enjoyed it. I think the frustration is the last couple of shows look kind of great on paper, but they're on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. And like, I've got a Christmas dinner to make, and I've got an EastEnders Christmas special that I've got to obviously prioritize as well. So
I got a roast and an EastEnders special. I mean, that's Joe summed up. I know you love a roast, mate. So, you know, or do you just love your own roast? Is that what it is?
Well, we're hosting this year, and what I'll say is my wife knows my palate better than anyone. So she has very much played this Christmas dinner to mine and her palates. My dad is already frustrated about it, to the point we're not doing turkey. So my mum is bringing some slices of turkey and a bit of gammon to get them through. Oh, and her favourite Sweden carrot mash, because we weren't going to do that either. I think
so you won't have heard it, but we did the show at the weekend. We did a tier list on Christmas foods, and we were trying to like basically put them into like 5 tiers. And one of the controversial shouts we had was that turkey isn't top tier. Turkey is second tier. Like, as important as it is, like my analogy was, it's Hogan main eventing Saturday night's main event in the 80s. It's like, yeah, he's got to go on last, but really, you kind of want to watch the British Bulldogs versus the Hart Foundation or whatever comes before it. That's or after it when they'd reverse the order. That's the real stuff I want to watch. I feel like that about roast. We had controversy. I'm trying to remember from memory. I think our top tier. We had roasties in the top tier. Don't know if you disagree with that. We had gravy. We had stuffing. I think that's the things off a plate that we had in the top tier. And then below it, we had turkey, and then we had other veg. And a couple of controversial conversations about whether mashing should be on your Christmas plate or not. Some other controversial veg, peas and such. I don't know if you've got a strong take on that.
Well, to be honest, I'm not the most qualified man to give, opinions.
Toby Carberry would say otherwise.
Yeah, on roast dinners. Like I'm not a fan of a dinner generally. I think it's the most overrated dinner like on the planet. But I don't mind the occasional one when it's done well. And my wife is a fantastic cook. But when it comes to this tiering, what I think is really disappointing there is you've got the meat, which is kind of your main element of it, at tier 2. Like, how many other meat-based meals would the meat be classed at tier 2? Like, that says a lot about turkey, doesn't it? Like,
it does.
If you're going for a steak,
there's a reason we only have it once a year.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going for a steak dinner, imagine putting the steak in tier 2. It's just not imaginable, is it? Imagine you go for, I don't know, a fat burger, or you go for a lamb kofta kebab. You're going to be putting the meat as the absolute top tier in all of these scenarios. I think that situation might be the only one where the meat's not the top scenario. If you're talking about an Indian, I think it depends what you're ordering of the Indian. So if you're going for like a sizzler, or you're going for some like meat that's been through the tandoor, you know, the meat is the priority there over the kind of like fried onions and all the other little sides you might have. But if you go for like, I don't know, for a tikka masala or a lamb dish, right? The sauce, you can argue, is the main element there. And if you replace the meat with like some paneer or something, it's probably, arguably, going to be as good. So you can make the argument there. But that's not the meat as the absolute priority, is it? Whereas I feel like the Christmas dinner, the turkey coming out of the oven, being presented, being carved, that is your main event, right? Sure. and it's often quite a dry, monotonous main event.
Triple H in the 2000s.
Yeah, it's kind of facilitated by a fantastic mid card of all sorts of different flavors and variety that is also on that plate. Possibly a WCW pay-per-view in the late 90s. You might hate
that makes sense. Yeah, the cruiserweights.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the undercard often being fun, and then you're getting like, I don't know, Savage Luger in the main event or something that just who wants to see that? Yeah, so I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
this is the important stuff people want to know. We had Yorkshire puddings in the tier below. We had a bit of gammon in there as well. Went all the way down to the bottom tier, which was, I don't know if you agree with this, prawn cocktail as a starter on a Christmas dinner. We had that at the very, very, very bottom last. Are you going to blow all our minds and say it's the best part of a Christmas dinner now?
Prawn cocktail? I think prawn cocktail gets a bad rap. I'll say that.
No.
I think we've all become quite snobby over the years. And I like to think during an era of social mobility, the prawn cocktail was a kind of starter that made parts of the British public feel like they were socially mobile on Christmas Day.
Bit like a Viennetta. We had that conversation about that too. It was the posh dessert that you'd have thought you would spending millions to get, but in truth, it was a quid from Farm Foods.
Yeah, so I saw one the other day, £1.50 in Sainsbury's. It was.
Mad.
Yeah.
It felt like a big day when Mum and Dad got one. Maybe it's because we grew up in Bootle in the 90s, but it felt like a big moment when we had a Viennetta in the house.
I remember my mum would never get them, and it was like, no, I'm not getting that. And it was almost as if implying it was too expensive. And we go to my nan's house, and that would be where the Viennetta was served, and it was like a big treat. So that sort of speaks volumes on the Viennetta, doesn't it? Can you get a Viennetta in Vietnam?
Oh, I don't think so, but it sounds like you should, doesn't it? Maybe it's got like links to it to Vietnam. Maybe you can get one. It's going to be tough like Christmas Day. I'm going to be like hoping to get like a Christmas butty or something like that, or maybe some cold cuts of meat. We didn't have that on the Christmas food, but they count as Christmassy for me. Throw some of them in. Maybe I'll make myself a turkey butty or something like that, but pickings are slim for Christmas out here. I can't see myself getting any pigs in blankets out here or any Yorkshires.
A turkey banh mi, maybe?
Maybe, yeah, that's probably the most likely. Yeah, they'll put anything on a banh mi out here. I've had some
cranberry sauce,
steak banh mi's. Oh, we had that bottom tier too. I don't know if that was controversial for you too as well, but me, Matty, and Gareth weren't fans.
Not for me. I think pigs and blankets are like the number one. Like, I think the pigs and blanket is the meat that the turkey only wishes it could be. And then what would I go after that? The dessert. I'm waiting for dessert. Usually there's
no potatoes. No, you wouldn't have them top tier.
I find roast potatoes to be a kind of a bottom tier potato. I find them quite overrated. Yeah,
we had them at the top of all potatoes, all of us. Even Gareth, who's a veggie, because Gareth had the nut roast at number one, because understandably doesn't eat meat, but even he agreed on the roast tier.
No, for me, I think me and my wife were having this debate the other day. Actually, we were ranking our favourite potatoes. What an evening in I was having. Tells you what a great relationship I'm in there, doesn't it? We're ranking potatoes of an evening.
This is a great woman, Lucy.
Puts up a lot. What was I saying? So we were talking about what we were going to do for these roast potatoes on Christmas Day, and I said, like, I think the roast potato, like, I don't know, like, the greatest roast potato I've ever had is nowhere near the greatest chip that I've ever had, or the greatest mash I've ever had, in my opinion. Like, I just find the surface area of roast potato, I don't love the hot fluffiness. I don't know what it is about it.
What about JP's roast potatoes he used to make in his house for you?
They were some of the finest that I did have, actually. His roast dinner, like, unbelievable. Like, up there with the best roast, possibly the best roast I've ever had. The beef JP cooked for that roast was insane. Like, what I'm trying to think of what we were watching. It was a Wrestle Kingdom one year where he made that roast. It was a card of Naito when Naito eventually won the belt from him in Tanahashi Jericho. Kind of New Japan's last stand in many ways. And it was almost like a bit of an awakening for me with roast. I've accepted the roast a bit more since that point.
Fair. Well, there you go. So you'd have roast in the bottom of the tier, but within the tiers, I think you're in broad agreement with us there. But yeah, you strike me as a man who prefer the celebrations, the heroes, and the Quality Street quadrant than a roast. We had them in that order, by the way, in the tier list: celebrations first, Quality Street, and I think roses were in that same bottom tier between
miniature heroes.
we didn't include them, we didn't do them, but like maybe they'd be mid-table, maybe I'd say.
I think I'm more into a miniature hero than all of them, to be honest.
Oh yeah, we did. No, we had them. Yeah, between Quality Street and Roses. Sorry, I missed them on the tier list. Yeah, we had them there. Yeah, Celebrations. We had number 1. Don't know if that's controversial for you.
Well, I've got some celebrations here actually. Hold on. So wife got some free celebrations from work, and the only ones that we've got left in this tray, if you can see it, no, you can't really see it. Sorry.
Bounties.
So let's see if I can do this. Milky Way, Bounty. There's a couple of Galaxy Caramel left in there, and a Mars. The teasers and the Galaxies went immediately.
Always.
I just find you don't get enough of those in there.
No.
And there are too many kind of subpar chocolates in there. The Bounty.
We said this: if you're the bounty man in a family, the power is yours. Like you are literally, you have the best. The person who has the best Christmas in your family is the one person who likes the bounties because they're just getting all the offshoots, aren't they? They could have a full tub of celebrations and it'd be pure bounties at the end of the day.
It used to be the person who was a topic man as well. Do you remember those?
Yeah, topics. Remember them?
I don't know if they still exist. Actually, the topic is that still a thing? I'm not sure.
I haven't been home in a while, but when I was home, I don't remember my corner shop ever having them. Yeah, I don't think they were there.
Well, when you're in Belfast, Ben, I find you and Steph a topic.
I'll go look them. And we'll have you on for the next 5 to 1 because now we're gonna have to 5 to 1 the individual celebrations or the chocolates or maybe dinners that are better than the roast according to Joe. I think there's a show in that. But anyway, Continental Classic, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, looking forward to it. Perfect. There you go. There's
I've got to say, the top 4 in the Continental Classic final, if I was to rank them via celebration-based chocolates, I think you do have probably Moxley to Takeshita for me would be the teaser. I think Okada, obviously, an all-time great who can still deliver. Okada would probably be. I think the old Mars bar was better than the new version of it, and I don't have a Mars in celebration form, so I'd give Okada the Mars status, and I think I'd go for Kyle Fletcher as the Galaxy. He's not quite the sort of we're up at a Dairy Milk in terms of just chocolate, but in terms of the celebrations box, the Galaxy is ever improving and ever going up in my estimation when it is in small chunks.
And maybe just too sickly sweet, which might be the too many high spots kind of thing that Kyle Fletcher's still ironing out at this point in his career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great way to put it, actually, Benno. And I think when you look at the rest of the Continental Classic competitors, I think maybe Speedball Mike Bailey, big fan. Bit of a sort of the Twix, maybe, good bit of caramel in there, a little bit of biscuit. But then you're right down there and you've got your.
And is Kevin Knight the other Twix biscuit? He's the other one.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, so you got a couple of Twixes in there. And then I guess who would be the bounty? I'd probably go for. Who's most if I skip? Roderick Strong or Claudio for me.
Yeah, I'd say Claudio. We're known haters on this podcast to Claudio. Despite knowing he's a very good wrestler and he's a very good hand, and everyone who likes him is right. But like me and Matty just can't fucking stand him, and I don't think Gareth defends him much either in these parts. I don't know does that fit a bounty though, because I feel like people have strong opinions on the bounty. I don't think anyone's got a strong opinion on Claudio outside of maybe me and Matt.
Well, I've got some strong opinions on his kind of push. Now, I think the bounty has been pushed for far too long and hung around for far too long in the celebrations box when it gets quite a bad press. And I think Claudio has hung around for far too long in a prominent position in AEW. One of the big issues of the Death Riders, I think they should have done a big refresh at a certain point where the whole thing about Moxley turning, I think what he should have done was done a whole thing where he turned with I think he should have turned and maybe with Garcia and Gabe Kidd and brought Big Bill into the Death Riders. And I think they should have had a proper refresh where they got rid of Yuta and Claudio and possibly Pac as well. And I think it would have given it a little bit more momentum, if anything, as well. And that's what I do to the celebrations box, to be honest. See you later, bounty, and I'd find something else to go in there.
Maybe just some more Snickers and some more Mars in there as well. Snickers are one, by the way, out here. Like you said, everything's dirt cheap in Vietnam. Anytime I go to Circle K or the odd 7-Eleven I see, they'll have a Snickers and it's me one indulgence. It's like a fucking quid for a full wall. I'll end up buying what they have over here. The way celebration size Snickers is is definitely too small. Like the mini Snickers too small. Full Snickers, I think sometimes could be too big. They have like one in the middle, and I often get that. It's like it's a 50p. Yeah, but it's bigger than that. It's a bit longer and a bit thinner. Perfect form of the Snickers. Need to throw some of them in there and the celebrations. That would sort it right out.
Yeah, or those like Snickers variations there, where they have ones with like hazelnut, or maybe like the extra caramel sort of ones. The Snickers Cruncher, which sponsored WrestleMania 17, actually, that was a good Snickers variation that kind of disappeared. I'd be up for that kind of coming in as maybe the Big Bill like replacement in there, because to get onto AEW, I think
that's a Takeshita. Absolutely, there we go. Back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking hell. So what were we saying? So I think those finals do look great, to be honest with you. And those are. I
would have held me water though on a card of Takeshita. I don't know if I'd have done it here. Like you say that, like Tony was asked it on the presser this week, like, do you think like maybe you should be doing these at another parts of the year? And he was like, well, no, that gives the TV a bit of focus at the end of the year, which I agree with. The bit Tony will never say is I feel like it gives us booking some focus too. Like it takes a lot of the weaknesses of Tony Khan's booking away, the Continental Classic, because like meaningless work rate matches all of a sudden have meaning, and then he is forced to book winners and losers with consequence through the tournament. Like it is literally the perfect storm for Tony to book. My exception would actually be Okada to Takeshita. He was actually doing a good job with outside of the tournament, and I think you could have peaked that outside of the tournament and told different stories here and had them miss each other, and maybe had it mean a bit more when they do finally get the match, because like we said there, we're talking about it because it's spoiled, but most people, or there's going to be a chunk of people going into World's End who don't even know they're wrestling, and like that should be a fucking massive deal when it happens. I almost would have waited another pay-per-view cycle to pull the trigger.
So I thought it was going to happen in the final. It felt like an inevitability, and it felt like that's what they were building to try and peak it. And I thought with Wrestle Kingdom around the corner as well, it was quite an easy thing to do to almost play into that to an extent. I thought that they were probably going to do. What was I saying? I thought that they were probably going to do. I've lost my train of thought on who's in the semi-final. Sorry, I thought they were going to do Takeshita Fletcher in the semi. And then do Okada Moxley. I mean, Okada Moxley. I can't remember if that's ever happened before, but it felt like Takeshita Okada was like a natural final, and they met because it was inevitable, and they had to meet.
They couldn't get away with it.
Alice couldn't keep them apart, and I thought they would play that into it in some way. Yeah. And I thought actually that was a match that was so anticipated. It could have probably gone on in the main event if you wanted it to, and you could peak the show with that, if anything. Like it's a match that I've really looked forward to and enjoyed the build for. So I'm glad we're getting it, but you're getting it, and then someone's got to go and wrestle again on the same night. It just feels a bit like you're peaking. You're going to peak too early, and then I guess what you're going to get afterwards. You're going to get a fight. I think Takeshita's obviously winning because he's got the IWGP. So I guess you're going to get Takeshita Fletcher. Feels like the most natural route, which does sound great. But
then that's another Callis family match, isn't it? On the same night of doing Okada Takeshita, which again lessens it more. No, you're right. Like that's the thing. If it's the start of a story we're telling, and we're doing a rematch that's going to have bigger stakes with Okada Takeshita, I think I'm into that. But you're right, it does undersell it, because we could have had that moment where they both win their semis, and like Don Callis is like, just head in hands, can't believe we're getting. Maybe they did that on Dynamite this week. None of us have seen it yet, but like having that little moment of realization, oh fuck, this is coming tonight. Like, yeah, surely that was the way. So it seems maybe there's a curveball in there, or maybe Moxley makes the final and they go that route instead. But again, like you say, Moxley Okada, I don't think it has happened, because when Moxley had this title run, I'm sure Okada was already gone. I'm pretty sure at that point, or was on his way out, or maybe he was just kept in a separate universe. But I don't know how much I want to see it, even if it would be relatively fresh,
Yeah, I think it depends on how much Okada's up for it, to be honest with you. I think that's the deal.
True of a lot of things.
Any Okada match at this point. And you got to think he's going to be up for that Takeshita match. Surely he's going to be up for that. So I think that will be a great match. But then the other thing I sort of wonder is if they're going to do Okada Fletcher in the final and give Okada his win back over Fletcher, because obviously he beat him earlier in the tournament. I think that's kind of dull, to be honest. I don't think we need
keeping
to see
the belt on Okada for another year. Like that wouldn't shock you though, would it? Keep the status quo.
Well, like I was saying about bubbles earlier, Okada kind of exists in the Okada bubble, And actually putting Okada in the Callis family has kind of helped that a little bit, because I think it gives him, it's kind of extended that bubble to an extent. But I think where they've also got stuck as well is the lack of hesitancy to move people out of their bubbles. Like an Okada Hangman title match, that seems like it would have been ideal for one of the pay-per-views after All In, if anything. I think that's an easy match to go to. I think you could have built it up easily. They're going to have a good match. I think Okada's going to be up for it if he's in a title match as well. And you can have Okada lose to Hangman. You don't need to just keep him in this kind of like Okada kind of sphere for kind of ever. And it just feels like there's a real hesitancy to move him out of that or do anything where he's not kind of the number one guy in that in the situation he's in for some reason.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that happens subconsciously with Tony Khan's book, and I think he realizes he's doing it, that he's pigeonholing these guys in like their little zones. You're right. Like, it's funny with the card. Like, we went back. I told you like offline. We did like a 10 years ago Wrestle Kingdom with a card of Tanahashi from Wrestle Kingdom 10, and it was mind blowing to see. And it's like, at the same time, though, I don't want that Okada anymore. We had best wrestler in the world Okada for a very long time. I don't think he could pull that off anymore. So it's like, I'm almost glad he's doing this version of the character now, even if like every 1 in 2 weeks I'm not really into it, or maybe 2 in 3 weeks I'm not into it. But then there's the 1 week where there is something interesting there, and there is like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a fresh coat of paint. It's completely different to what he did in the past. I think he needs it at this age, but I think you maybe tapped into something there that like when it is at its most interesting, it is when he's pulled out of like the same old routines and when he is doing something a little bit more interesting. I think that mostly this Takeshita story has been that too. It's pulled a bit of personality out of him too as well, hasn't it? So
yeah, and I think there's been kind of criminal underuse of him, and actually putting him with the Callis stuff allows him to kind of play up the kind of heel character and some of the comedy a little bit more as well. And I think he's always going to get cheers because of the comedy stuff. And I think you just allow that to happen, if anything. But I also think there's no, if you look at that Callis family dynamic, I think Fletcher or Takeshita has to be turning face at some point. Yeah, but it's who you go with and when you go with them, if anything. Like, I think I would go with Takeshita first, if anything, and keep Fletcher as. I'd almost put Fletcher in a position where he almost gets there, becomes frustrated, and you maybe go again and you lean into it gradually as the year goes on.
Yeah, he's better in this position, isn't he? Like, it lets him develop as he goes. And it's almost like I don't want a glimpse of him as a babyface until he's ready to be like that top line babyface. I feel like it would give the game away to do it now. Wait until he's at that point. And that's always been that for me, like the Don Callis family stuff. I'm not a fan of the 37 people in the stable because I think it underutilizes so many. Just for the sake of a shit joke, I think it just underutilizes so much talent up and down. But if we come out of the story with Takeshita in a better place, with Kyle Fletcher in a better place, and Okada in a better place, it's worth it at the end of the day, isn't it? And some of the negatives of Don Callis being on the show 7 times a night are kind of outweighed by that, as long as those guys are the ones who get the shine out of it, and it's not just Callis himself.
I also think as well, and that this is where sometimes AEW annoys me, is I think there are really obvious things you could lean into, like that they just don't do. So like the just never ending on and off Omega Callis storyline. Like, there's a whole background and history with Takeshita. When Ibushi got injured, clearly they were going to do some Golden Lovers matches and maybe do the Bucks reunion after like a Golden Lovers feud, I thought. But you could probably put Omega with Takeshita and have like a kind of Takeshita turn where Omega as sort of a mentor figure, like when he was younger, kind of leads him to doing that. And then you've got like Callis fueled by the fact that Omega took Takeshita from him as well. And it just feels so easy and natural to do. And then you can put Omega in tag matches with Takeshita. You think if you go to Australia in February and you did Fletcher and Okada against Takeshita and Omega, it sounds fucking amazing. But it just doesn't feel like there's any kind of, I don't know, there's nothing that really indicates they're going to go in that sort of direction with it. And I sometimes just think you've got stuff there, do it, and it feels like they've got an overarching where they want to get to. But with AEW, the week-to-week kind of way they get to a point is never really ironed out that well. And the kind of way that you promote getting to a certain point and making things seem big just isn't kind of present there. And I think that's my biggest frustration with him as a promotion.
That's Tony Khan. Like, that's like in his head, it's big. In his head, because that's the thing. He's plotted this out and he knows where we're going, but only really he knows. And it isn't always represented on the TV. Like you say, that making things feel significant just isn't really a thing that enters how they present it on the TV. But they'll still get to Tony Khan's endpoint regardless, and he'll still tell you that it was all significant and it was all important, despite the fact you saw it with your own eyes that it wasn't. Like, I always use like this week's Dynamite as an example. Everyone who went sounded like they had a great time, but I don't think they sold enough that they were in Manchester and that it was a big UK show and all. It just felt like any other run-of-the-mill Dynamite. And it's almost taken for granted because Tony thinks it's important and Tony knows it and can tell you it is, that they just don't spend enough time selling it on the TV. And that's true of so many things up and down in AEW. I don't know if you heard me say it on one of the podcasts recently, but I feel like not in the same way, because Tony Khan's brain gives us some of the greatest matches in wrestling history and the greatest wrestlers against each other in wrestling history. But I feel similar to Vince McMahon in like the 20 years of Vince McMahon terror booking. You felt like you lived in Vince's head and you almost had to accept the foibles of how he booked, because it was just the way it was going to be no matter what. He was going to have his things about the way he booked and the way he presented the show, and tough luck if you want it any other way. I think we've kind of got that with Tony Khan too, and I think we're so many years in now, I think a lot of us kind of just have to accept it and accept that like we get this game-changing amazing stuff, but we also have to live with the fact that Tony Khan sees things a certain way and books things a certain way and present things a certain way. It's never going to change, and we're all going to drive ourselves mad hoping that it will.
Yeah, because like you think as well with the Swerve Hangman stuff, like
we should get into that.
Well booked feud for years, kind of lucked into it, and often you do luck into these things. But obviously, there's a plan for like the next chapter of it with the way they've been sort of booking them both. But them teaming up a couple of weeks ago, that should have been huge. Like that should have been absolutely massive, and there should have been a couple of weeks where you kind of build to that and what a big thing that is. And there should have been almost like a whole, is this actually going to happen? Are we going to do this? Maybe like a segment where they strike some kind of like unholy alliance and deal to do it. And then you build to it as this TV match that feels massive, right? And you put them against like opponents that are kind of close to their level, but it's worth putting them together for. They put them together for, what was it? Powerhouse Hobbs and Shibata, I think. Like,
yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was just felt like nothing, and you just think you've got such the thing with the TV as well. You look at say I don't pay that much attention to ratings, but you hear Dave banging on about the ratings constantly. And if the ratings are decreasing, it's because you're not giving people these big week-to-week hooks. And you've got the talent there for people to invest in. But if you're not giving them the hook, the TV then seems unimportant and insignificant overall. And I just think lean into that stuff more, promote it more, and take a leaf from WWE's book. WWE have got, I'd describe them as a, what is it? A toxic moments promotion at this point, right? Just lean into the moments and create a few more moments, because what you're giving us as moments aren't really moments. Like, no one's going to remember that Hangman and Swerve teaming together. You're not going to be able to use that in a montage in 10 years to about the company history. I mean, like the Elite getting back together as well. Yeah. Talk about underwhelming. Like that
came out, didn't they? You got the Elite music, but outside of that, it was just like, well, there's a trios match.
Should have been huge. Should have been massive. Should have leaned into it for weeks again. And it's just there. And you just think you're wasting opportunities to build stuff here, to get your TV ratings up and to give the fans that little bit more. You're just sort of doing stuff when it becomes apparent that you should do it.
Yeah, it's true of all things up and down the card. Eddie Kingston's return, for one. Like, again, I had that criticism from people, because people get on our back. Like, I'll tell you ahead of time, you know, if you say AEW should take a leaf from WWE with this, people will be like, well, AEW should be as different as possible. It should. I agree in every way. And I think it's a positive that AEW isn't WWE. Well, to your point, I don't even think it is WWE to just make things feel significant, to just base level promote, to base level, you know, whole thing. This is the thing with, we always say it, like you end up getting into like a psychological assessment of Tony Khan growing up as a billionaire's son. and never he never had a Christmas where he couldn't believe he got an N64 because he got an N64, he got a PlayStation, he got a retro fucking Sega Genesis, and he got whatever else because he got whatever he wanted. He never had that anticipation. Like our friend Michael Sidgwick over on What Culture says that a lot. Like he never had that. Like you don't get the thing, and then you get the thing, and how much more does it mean when it happens? Tony Khan doesn't have that lived experience, so I think that applies to his booking, but it also applies to everything else in the way he books. He don't think he understands about holding emotion back or holding feeling back. He just gives you things in like a very formatted TV order. And like I say, you're right. You shouldn't be able to use like that Hangman and Swerve moment to like point back and go, oh, what a great moment this was in the past. But they will still do it. There'll be video packages where it'll be, even like photos of them backstage with chains around the neck, like, oh, remember what a great moment this is. And it'll be a great moment to Tony Khan, but not really to the rest of us. The rest of us will see it for it being underwhelming for what it could have been that we all could have had. And
I wanted it to be a great moment for us because it should have been, because that's why we watch wrestling. It's to invest in that stuff.
And it wouldn't have taken much, would it? Wouldn't have taken much.
A couple of weeks and lean into it, like a tense segment with the two of them, like thinking about it, and also like the level of the opponent. Like this is my other problem with AEW as well. I think it was sort of a year ago. I thought to myself, there are a lot of people who are slotted in the wrong positions. And they sort of got over that sort of earlier in the year, and it was really quite good for up until really, I would say, through the sort of Forbidden Door show in terms of people being in the right positions on the card and people being slotted properly. I feel like that's really gone a bit out of whack again. And you look at, say, I know you and Matty profoundly disagree on the Joe stuff, and I'm sort of somewhere in the middle because I sort of get it. But I sort of think to myself, you didn't book Joe in a manner that told you he is a title threat. And at the same time, it almost feels like, why have you put Joe and these kind of jobbers in here when you could have probably just done a reheated Death Riders and it could have been Moxley getting his way to the belt again. And then it continues that feud. It feels more like a main event. And then you can lean into Swerve Moxley as well, which seems like a far more natural route to go down rather than like who's got great memories of Joe and Swerve previously when he won the belt? Like they were matches that happened to get us to Swerve winning the belt.
We lived through it.
The Swerve and Hangman feud, really. And we're in this weird swap. And it's like Kyle O'Reilly and the Moxley stuff. I actually really enjoyed that.
The execution was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the matches were really good. And Moxley, I think, has had a really kind of like under the radar great year since about March time. But it's Kyle O'Reilly. And there's someone else that you could have given a serious rub by putting them in a different position if they've got more long-term upside.
Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, someone like that. And again, that would take you. This is the thing. People will go, yeah, but they're doing something else. It's a bit like the Hangman titles quandary. Well, we had no opponents for him. You book it. You've had all year to set opponents up for him. You've had all year to put somebody in that slot with Moxley. You've had all year, and you've nailed exactly my thoughts on Joe as someone who fucking loves Samoa Joe and still believes he can pull it off, even if he's hamstrung by the way they booked this whole thing. But you're right. They could have spent 6 months having Samoa Joe just being like little bubbling things, like a program with Hobbs or a program with Darby, or just little things that let you know that he's still a factor. They had him in trios match. They can't pretend they were planning this because they had him in trios matches on pre-shows since he lost the belt, pretty much. Like, he didn't do anything else of memory. And like, I was literally on air on the weekend show going, oh, well, there's no way Joe's winning the belt, forgetting that I was watching AEW. And then of course he could, because Tony Khan could pretend that no, that was all significant. Joe being trios champion, it was all significant and part of this story. It was significant to me. Wasn't it significant to you? And like, of course it wasn't. Like, you're totally right. He was completely off the boil as like a real act, and that happens with so many people. It happened with Kyle O'Reilly again. I agree with you. It could have been someone else, but it could also have been Kyle O'Reilly if you'd have done the work getting Kyle O'Reilly to that point. Again, sunken cost fallacy. Maybe you wouldn't put that work into Kyle O'Reilly, but again, takes you back to your point. Why would you do it? So many of those holes exist, don't they? And like, the end goal can be good. Joe's probably going to pull this off. I bet you this 4-way's probably good at the weekend. I'm sure all the lads are going to eventually pull the work off, but you've got to put them in a position to get the best out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And like the Joe angle where the feud initially sparked off, my thought was a really good little way to get to a TV main event in a week or two. That's what I thought it was going to be. I thought really good TV main event title defense for Hangman, and then 2 pay-per-views later, and he's got the belt, and it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm not
Hangman's already
sure.
been lowered. Hangman's already less. It's all about Cody being cooled off. Like Hangman's, he's well cooled off already.
Yeah, and again, it feels like it's completely kind of on the booking, really, isn't it? Because I think there were a spate of challenges over there. What's wrong with doing an Okada match? You probably, before Takeshita won the IWGP belt, done a match with Takeshita where you've got Callis there. Could you have gone back to to Omega for a month? That seems like it could have been something that was just there waiting to happen. Like there were just
Kenny's physical situation aside, that's the only thing there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you don't know what's going on there, obviously. But there were just so many little things that you could have done. Even Eddie Kingston. Could you have got Eddie Kingston heated up for a month and done it as a babyface match? Maybe had Hangman lean heel and then have him hug at the end of the match. Like just so many basic things that I think could have been done, and they've not really protected Hangman where he was. And like that MJF promo last week,
I was looking forward to your thoughts on that.
Fuck me, talk about like protecting your talent. Like MJF on some level, do I quite like? Yeah, I do. Like he's good fun. Like his execution is great. You can't deny that. My wife was in the room again when I was watching that promo on the spin bike. She was cooking again. Seems like her every day. And she made some comment like, God, he's very charismatic, isn't he? Where he really knows how to hold a crowd. I was like, yeah, he does on that level.
He was great in Happy Gilmore. Did you see him in that?
Nah, it sounded like that film sounded fucking awful. Like,
it wasn't good, like.
Wasn't just a series of sketches, basically.
A lot of sketches and a lot of, that beloved character who died in the last film, or the real actor in real life died. Hey, this is their son. And he actually does play he plays Adam Sandler's son, but it was a lot of that. He was good though. He was magnetic. He stole the screen time of every bit he was in. That's him though. He is a great performer. He's got a lot wrong with how he thinks about stuff and how he works his stuff in. But I think we forgive him too. I've been saying it on our shows recently. We end up forgiving him because a lot of 50% of the time it's maddening, like this last week's Dynamite, and then 50% of the time you just can't help yourself go, well, yeah, maybe logically he shouldn't have done that, but it was entertaining. Cause he is if he was, it's Russo in it. If he was funneled and channeled in the right direction, there's obviously something there.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I think there's just so much free reign that he gets, and it feels like he's taken the worst parts of mid-2000s Triple H and almost tried to put them in a modern setting. Like the promo segment went on for too long anyway, but the manner in which every single person was put down, he then, Triple H, I think, came up in the promo, or WWE came up, and then he defends WWE while he puts down every single person in the main event with him in the next pay-per-view. You just think,
cheers.
What are you doing here? Why are you taking this approach? What direction did you have here before you did this? And where's the comeback? All right, yeah, the comeback might be next week, but it just felt kind of, everyone looked like a geek in the moment, and no one other than him came out of it looking good. And I've had some issues with him previously. I remember talking to you about it. There were some in the Ospreay matches. There were things that went unseen and kind of unspoken, where he was trying to make Ospreay kind of look a bit stupid, and he wasn't giving Ospreay what he should have to the level in those matches. The Wembley one, there was a lot of MJF gimmick protection going on there. I remember, and I remember thinking the match wasn't at that usual high end of an Ospreay match. And that was kind of on MJF, almost looking like he was protecting his gimmick and protecting his kind of, I don't know, his status, if anything. And I think that insecurity needs to kind of be sort of spoken about more and raised more, because there's so much he can give the company. And I think he's probably ready for another run with a belt, but is he allowed himself to, I don't know, create opponents and have opponents that he feels are at his level during that period where he's got the belt again? Because that promo said no.
Self-serving. It's like, I said it to Gareth and Matty on the pre-show at the weekend. He is someone who's done this. I think this is the 6th or 7th time where he's gone out injured, or he's gone off to film Happy Gilmore, or he's been away for a few months. And it feels calculated. He comes back in a town that's either near to where he lives, somewhere in the Northeast, or it's Chicago, or it's the UK. because he knows he's going to get a pop when he comes out. And then in knowing that, he also goes through all this material that, like you say, there's probably a version of the segment where he's a heel and we all chuckle at a couple of the lines, and maybe the WWE lines about Swerve are left out and some of the lines about Hangman are left out, and we go, 20% of it he probably shouldn't have done, but 80% of it got him heel heat and it made me more interested in the match. Like, that would be one thing. But, like, he's got this repeated pattern now of doing this, he did it. CM Punk was fuming about it in Chicago when he came back that time. Like, the night where CM Punk had the meltdown. You forget MJF came back and got a pop in Chicago. It's like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be the heel here. And I think he's always got that insecure element of him that wants that reaction and wants those cheers. And I think it's by design that we get these segments in these moments when he comes back to these hardcore friendly crowds who are going to cheer him in the moment. And it undercuts everybody. It undercuts everyone else in the segments, especially when it's a fucking 4-way match and you've got 3 guys you could undercut and not even just one. Like, the more I think about it, the more, like, terrible that segment was last week on Dynamite.
And it's also like
Gareth felt the same way.
The legitimacy of Swerve as well by bringing up his WWE run. No one's ever done that. Why are we doing that? Like, what's the purpose of that? What is that achieving? It's almost saying, well, you weren't good enough to make it here, so you made it here instead. And it's like, why are you lowballing kind of everyone in the promotion?
The whole company?
By lowballing someone who is a legit main eventer in this company and has kind of made himself in this company.
True, absolutely true. And he's always going to have that part of him. Like Gareth said at the weekend, he can't wait for them to fuck off to WWE. I don't think he ever will. I think he'll always be in AEW, but he uses that for his gimmick. He uses it for quote-unquote heat, but in this case, he's using it for pops, and it's just unforgivable. I mean, what do you think on the match itself? Any, like, thoughts on where... Like I say, a few people were hoping, like, maybe Hangman was going to win the belt back from Joe on TV, and it was just a way to reheat him. Like, I don't know if I imagine you didn't see Wade Keller's reporting saying, nope, the idea was that Hangman had run out of challengers and he went a different direction. He hasn't said what the different direction is. Obviously shares the same criticisms we do about, like, well, you could have heated up heels for him, but save them putting the belt back on Hangman, which I don't think is coming now. I don't know. Is this a way to get the belt on Swerve? Is it a way to get the belt on MJF? Is Joe the champion till the new year? Like, I actually don't know how to call it, really, because I'm not sure any of them are good ideas.
No, and like I could see him go. Like, I think going with Joe is the worst of the 4 long term. If I'm honest with you, I don't know which is the best idea. It feels like Swerve and MJF are sort of due another run, if anything. But then I also think it's what your long term is, and when Ospreay is due back as well. Because ideally, you want to think about who the best opponent would be for Ospreay at Wembley if he's ready to go. And I don't want it to be MJF. I think that's no one wants to see that at Wembley again. Let's be honest. No. I think Swerve or Hangman, and paying off that kind of paying off last year with the kind of Ospreay, Swerve, Hangman, Death Riders element, feels like it would have a lot more meaning.
Feels fresh too, doesn't it? Ospreay, Swerve, Ospreay, Hangman both feel really fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to myself as well, like, Ospreay's not beat either of them either. He's beaten MJF. He's done that at Wembley. And in terms of an AEW audience, like, it just feels more organic for one of those matches to happen. But then I worry, has Tony Khan told MJF that he'll be headlining Wembley next year? Do you know what I mean? Is there something in that as well? Because
I'm hoping maybe they're leaning into, Ospreay and Swerve, like, connection being in the UK and Ireland, from when they worked with each other on the indies out here, because you could see them mining that for story. Because to be fair, Swerve's got Tony's ear as much as MJF's ear. MJF has his ear, so maybe that side will win out.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's, obviously, that period that Swerve was over there doing a lot of indies. I think that's where him and Ospreay kind of got. Remember the whole Uptown Funkers stuff with Ryan Smile and all that.
Smile,
Swerve was originally involved in a lot of that stuff as well. So yeah, they've got those connections.
Got you. Well, I know what you said. I thought you meant he's got Tony Khan's ear in terms of his influence on Tony Khan.
Oh, Swerve does. No, but Swerve does. No, that's true too. Apparently, like, Swerve gets a lot of face time with Tony, which is good. I'm glad. Like, usually it's your Jericho's, your those types of guys, really, pretty much. It's a short list of people who have Tony's ear. But yeah, I can't remember who reported it, but yeah, he apparently gets a lot of, like, lone time with Tony to put his ideas across and set out his year or his plans for the year and stuff like that. So hopefully the goodies are winning that one rather than MJF.
Yeah. But I do think as well, there is, I don't mind a couple of title changes over the course of the year. I sometimes think you lull yourself into sort of pattern booking if you expect every title reign to be like a minimum length. Like I always think of WWE sort of 2000, 2001, where the belt would change quite a lot. But it was two of their, up until really the invasion angle, it was two of their kind of better booking years, if anything, under Vince. And you think you'd get like 3 or 4 months of The Rock, a couple of months of Kurt Angle, back to Austin, Triple H. And that was kind of fine. Like that kind of worked for a period. And I think you've got enough wrestlers who can main event shows as much as Hangman has apparently run out of challengers that you could do that to an extent. But I just think you've got to think about who the best person for Ospreay is if he's fit and ready to go. I wouldn't even be against a Ospreay Hangman Swerve triple threat. I think actually as far as triple threat matches goes, that one feels like it kind of would be earned and kind of has some credibility after last year.
If the belt bounced around those 3 all year, I'd be happy with it in any order, really. Like those are because they should be your main characters, shouldn't you? That was the big, again, you mentioned length there. It wasn't the length of Hangman's run that was the problem. It was the want for him to be the main focus of the television, and he wasn't while he was champion. But if we're looking with a fresh coat of paint in 2026, they should be your main characters. Maybe there's an argument to throw MJF in as like a curveball who gets a month run or is like a spanner in the works to get us to the end direction. But the TV should be it should be focused on those guys. That should be how we get. But my only worry is with Ospreay is like I think if that was coming, if it was anytime soon, it was going to start getting built. I feel like he would have been on the Manchester shows. He would have been on the Cardiff show, and we didn't get that. That just makes me worry that Ospreay's return is very far in the future and might not come before All In. But if you can get him there, then that's very clearly the way, isn't it? Very clearly.
Well, it would have even made sense for him to be part of that segment in a way, wouldn't it, if he was around? Because there's things you could have probably set up. But then I guess you've also got to do...
Be Shawn Michaels in 97 in the build to WrestleMania 13. While Steve and Brett are feuding and Sid and Undertaker are feuding, Shawn just turns up in every segment like, hello, I'm still here. I haven't actually lost my smile. I'm still around. That should have been Ospreay, just turning up at the end of Raw.
And also, you're thinking about the pop he would have got as well, the reminder. I also thought with the Alex Windsor beating Mercedes... You could have, if you had him on the show, you could have possibly had him out there during that as well, or celebrating with her in the ring at the end as well. Leaned into those two being a couple and that story a little bit more if you can do the Wembley thing. I think there's a lot of personal mileage in that, really, if they're willing to go there. So there are lots of things that they obviously could have done last week, but they decided not to do. Sure, so maybe. But also then you've got the Death Riders element because they took him out at the end of the show as well. Yeah. And I don't want to see another comeback where you forget about the person who took you out in the first.
I hate that. Like I said that at the time. You know me, Joe. You're a message boarder from back in the day, like me. You love to keep the receipts and let people know when you turn out right in the end. But I was saying that month, just let Ospreay go off to the sunset and let it be a nice moment. You didn't need Death Riders heat because you're right. How many times have we seen it in WWE? Like Edge goes off injured and turns back up 18 months later, and whoever injured him isn't even in the company anymore. Like, just don't do it. It's not Swerve come back. Is Swerve come after Okada? Of course he hasn't. They're in 2 different universes now. Like, it just didn't happen. Like, I hated that at the time, and they'd almost be forced to go back to that if Ospreay came back, when you'd rather him just come back fresh and work those fresh scenarios instead. Yeah.
I think the way you could get away with it is if he's fit for the Owen Hart tournament, is if you have him and Moxley in the final of that. That could kind of be... and you could main event a pay-per-view with that as well. That would be a good way to get that out of the way, pay that off, and then get to the big match at the end of it, I guess. Like a lot of the ideas we're talking about all sound so exciting, and there are so many fresh matchups
and almost obvious.
Potential routes, and I just feel like so little of it will happen in the way that we're sort of talking about. Like,
and if it does, it'll be underwhelming. Like it's always the way, isn't it? And it won't feel as significant as we expect. That's the AEW story.
If Tony Khan wants to take us on as booking consultants, I'm more than up for...
Ospreay, you mentioned the MJF promo before. Ospreay said that our live show, he listened to our breakdown of that segment, and some of the lines he gave back to MJF the week after were literally as a result of hearing us rip apart the MJF Ospreay segment. So if you're listening, Will, we've got some ideas there for you. At Joe.
Well, he's a wise man with a lot of time in his hands, and I'm more than willing to have a chat.
Did you have any thoughts on the undercards on the pay-per-view? I'll run through the matches again. Spoiler for this week. Gabe Kidd v Darby Allin as a match. Like I had to literally go and read the spoilers to figure out how the fuck we got there. FTR Bang Bang Gang for the tag belts, I guess, has been built. Babes of Wrath versus Athena and Mercedes Moné for the other tag team belts to channel Hangman Page, the men's tag belts and the women's tag belts. Sorry, we have the women's world title, Chris Statlander versus Jamie Hayter, and of course the Continental Classic final as well. Any thoughts on any of that? Apparently, Gabe, Darby cuts a promo and Gabe attacks him backstage. I think at these New York shows. I'm not sure if it's Dynamite or Collision, but. Spoiler, but what a wild one. That's kind of weird. Obviously,
well, I guess he got involved, didn't he, before and took him out previously. So there's that.
You're paying something off. To be fair, we should give him credit.
But then I hope they remind us of that, and there's maybe a bit of a package to remind us of that. And maybe Darby could have been cutting some promos in the interim on Gabe Kidd. That would have been quite useful. Always good to see Gabe Kidd. I'm a big fan of his. Bit random that they're doing it a week out from Wrestle Kingdom, and he's sort of flying around like that, though. I guess. I'm sure it'll be a good match, and I'm sure that it will carry on Darby's now never-ending feud with the Death Riders to an extent.
Feels weird, that, isn't it? It's like we've done it backwards. Like Darby came straight for Mox, and now we're just moving down the card as far as Pac, and now Gabe Kidd, and fair enough. Something went wrong with that booking somewhere, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But I'm all right with Gabe in a big position. Any thoughts on the tags or the women's stuff? It's not what you can say.
I actually think the women's division has been really good this year. In terms of success over the last couple of years, I think they've done a really effective job of it. Like, I used to skip a lot of the women's stuff. I don't really skip a lot of it at all, ever. I think that they've built it around really good talent who are over. The women's tag tournament, I thought was
Chris
a little disappointing. Say it again, mate.
And Chris Statlander.
Yeah,
women who were over. And the champion.
I'll take that bit back a bit. Chris Statlander was good as a kind of supporting player in there. I was fine with that. This run has gone, we thought transitional champion. Come on. Let's just get it off her now.
Tony Khan headcanon again, innit? She was never built up to get to. She got the slip on a banana peel win, and then it was off to over Tony Storm. It was like, did you see that coming? And it was like, well, no, because none of the booking indicated that she was at that level. Again, you'd have had her in undercard matches, like the WWF in the mid-90s. If Vader beat Sid on a pay-per-view, you'd know he'd be Shawn Michaels' challenger the next month, depending on politics. Yeah. None of that. She just randomly won, and now she's randomly the champion, and there are bigger stars beneath her as challenge, even challenging.
And she's beat both Tony Storm and Mercedes clean, right?
Yeah.
Did she beat?
She's Jericho, isn't she?
She did. That's ridiculous. Why?
Rock and Austin in one night.
It really is a good comparison, actually. Yeah, but it doesn't feel like she's gained really anything from that. And that again is another thing that should have been massive. If you're going to do that, actually build that up properly, if anything. So I don't understand the approach with that, to be honest. Who knows? I think in terms of other matches on that card. Well, would you say the tag title match? Probably be all right.
FTR Bang Bang Gang, yeah.
Yeah, probably be fine.
It's a
I wouldn't buy a pay-per-view for it, but
no.
Yeah.
Filler pay-per-view stuff, that, isn't it? And obviously, Babes of Wrath, Harley and Willow Nightingale against Athena and Mercedes Moné. All characters, maybe Harley Cameron aside, I'm very into, so we'll see how the story plays off of the couple of episodes of TV we haven't seen, but holding pattern match.
And the Harley Cameron Willow act, I do quite like. They're quite a fun act. They seem sort of
Willow's great
together. Yeah, and she's also improved in the ring as well. Obviously, worked quite hard. So no, I don't mind that. And it gets people on the card, I guess, as well, doesn't it? Is there no Tony Storm match or no Young Bucks match either? Then I'm assuming.
No, to be honest, I was looking up and down the card going, am I missing something with the Young Bucks? But as far as I know. Nothing with Young Bucks and Kenny. Maybe they've been given Christmas off, unless something gets announced in a pre-tape. Maybe I could see happening that didn't take place in front of the crowd at the Dynamite and Collision tapings. But no, nothing in the spoilers either that indicates there's any match there. That is strange though, yeah. But maybe it's one of them. Let them have Christmas at home with the family. Maybe is maybe the thought.
Yeah, and the Continental Classic stuff and the title match are going to carry it anyway. So anything below that is kind of just making up a number.
You can save it, can't you? Save it for Dynamite, save it for the next pay-per-view run. As long as they do truly save it and truly give us some stakes to this. Just Kenny and the Bucks having random trios matches on Dynamite, we've seen it, we've lived through that before. You got to give it at least something, even if Kenny doesn't look 100% himself. At least make it feel like it means something. But I don't think it will. But
I did have a thought on Omega actually, and 2027. with the whole Saudi WrestleMania thing, and maybe I'm just throwing this in there and it's a bigger talking point, but there's got to be a shout, obviously, for AEW doing some kind of show that people can kind of travel out to, that they can make a major event. I was trying to think of what match or what feud they could peak to do it. I don't even necessarily think you need to do that. I think with Omega's condition, if you could talk him into maybe retiring in 2027, I think there's a stadium show you could do around his retirement potentially, because he still has that aura and he still gets that major response when he's in and around the place. And I think that would be absolutely massive potentially if you went with that as a kind of headliner for a stadium show.
Andy Q, another smart man, when he was on here, like literally said that. He's like,
Did
the
he?
thing needed to be done. Yeah, well, not so much the retirement match.
I've always said, me and him thinking the same
two
way.
peas in a pod.
Yeah.
I always wondered if you were always texting behind the scenes, you and Andy Q, but I can confirm it's I don't believe the case. But he's he was more talking about like Kenny as like this, build him as like this box office act. Like surely his big matches should be like big fights, like in boxing or UFC, absolutely. Like build it like that. And then also there's less bumps, there's less mileage on his body, and it means more when you do them. Honestly, rather than having Kenny do these trios matches where he looks like he's in pain, like through the match, or he looks like he needs. To be honest, I said with Andy Ogden this week, he looks like he needs a shit through his matches because he just looks like he can't move his body all the way around. He just looks like he's constantly in a state of not wanting to do too much. I think just give him a fucking year off. Like, give him a whole year off to recover and then see where we are next year, because I don't think you're getting any money out of him. Like, doing these trios matches, the money is in letting him have a year off and then having a big match, December next year, or maybe you don't want to give the money to Wrestle Kingdom, but at a Wrestle Kingdom or at a Wembley, and just dust them off once or twice a year and let him go out there and have a match like you had with Gabe Kidd. Like, surely, like, make him your Roman Reigns. Like, just do it. Like, don't listen to the criticism I'm sure people will come with. Oh, he's more part-time than Roman Reigns. Sell it. Like, there's money in that. For all the negatives of the way they use Roman Reigns, there are positives. I always say it to Matty. Same with Brock Lesnar. It used to make him feel like a bigger star because he wasn't there every week. I think, honestly, we could have, as much as we all want to see Kenny back and in the mix, I think we could all live with Kenny taking the next 6 months or year off. Just getting a slightly better physical condition than he is in now.
Yeah, and I just think to myself as well, I always think to myself, the last matches I want to see from him, if he's got so little time left, you want to see probably one more Okada match. You probably want to see one more Ospreay match. So that series is kind of settled. You probably want to see a Kyle Fletcher match where Kyle Fletcher goes over him at some point.
Yeah.
And I sort of think to myself, that feels like a natural way to give Kyle Fletcher that last major part of the push to kind of certify him as a main event guy, if anything. Like, there's so much you could do. Him and the Bucks and Hangman and Omega once more. That sounds great. Like, there are so many things you can do, but it's what would draw, I guess, for that major show. And at the moment, the box office isn't there, and you're gonna kind of really have diminishing returns if you keep having him coming up for these 6-mans, really, because, like you say, they're fine, but then no one really does anything, and if there's no major feud there. But what could you do to get the most out of him? And if it's retirement in 2027, I think to myself, destination city that people are willing to travel to, a big major match, peaks and feuds on the way there. But there's got to be something to that. I don't know which city you go to. Maybe a Toronto with him being Canadian. You definitely, Winnipeg isn't a destination city, that's for sure. Maybe you could do that. But yeah, like a New York.
Still a big building for it, though. You really could.
Yeah, I think they would. I think they really would. But yeah, there's something there that they can do if they really try and like plan ahead for that.
Totally. It should be like Cena's retirement run, but nothing like Cena's retirement run. And also, instead of doing it in a year, do it over 3 years or 4. Plot it out. Like you said, write down, we want a Kyle Fletcher match, we want a Takeshita match, we want an whatever the matches are, write them out, make it like 6 matches, and then just bleed it out over 3 years and give Kenny 3 or 4 months off between the matches. Yeah. Maybe physically he thinks he can't do that. Maybe he's already thinking retirement, but I don't know. Anything has to be better than
I also think as well, in a world full of kind of, what would be the best way to put it? In a world full of sin, and where barriers just seem to be kind of being torn down constantly. In the wrestling,
he's a Barrymore then. He's on TikTok. That's what he's
doing. in the wrestling war, winning the moral high ground actually kind of means a lot more than I think promotions realize at times.
Yeah.
And when you've got anger about in 2027, which is only going to escalate as we get closer to WrestleMania, like actually winning that moral high ground by giving fans something they want to go to will put a lot of positive PR on AEW during that point in time and just make that work, because you might only get this opportunity really once, what with mergers and all the rest of it going on in the media world at the moment.
Yeah. This is your moment. This is your time. Like I say, to be the babyface promotion too and do it that way. But I mean, I suppose moving on from AEW, I mean, do you follow Barrymore on TikTok? You've been following any of his stories out there? It's a wild one.
The thought of me being on TikTok is just alien. When I watch what a Chinese-controlled government app is doing to the psychology of the young people that I teach.
Hey, I'm close to China here. Be careful.
Oh, mate.
6 hours walk, I think, to China from home.
Yeah, right on the border, aren't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, just the mindset and the attention spans and the belief system of some of these young kids that I now teach. That app has fucked them. Like,
attention, all of it. It's gone in it.
Yeah. And it's not even that. It's how everything is so politicized to the hilt as well, and how they found a kind of like immediate way into the base level psyche of teenage boys who feel, I don't know, rejected and feel small, and they've politicized that and managed to find sort of misogynistic angles to radicalize them as well. And I just think, nah, I'm having nothing to do with that shite. I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll watch TikToks I've sent them so that I know what's going on. And so I can still kind of teach the stuff. But even when I bring TikTok into lessons, if I try and break down, when you do like a deconstruction of someone's gimmick, I did a deconstruction of Andrew Tate one day. And oh my God, the backlash and the kickoff I got was insane.
Really?
Yeah.
That shocks me that people say it out loud, though, because that's the type of thing that would be like kept behind closed doors not long ago. But now people are
out and proud, mate. It's a new form of out and proud.
Well, like I said, I think TikTok's interesting because I agree with all that, but I also think it's interesting in that like it shows you what you really like. Like you can tell, you can tell yourself that you're not it, and that's probably the negative there, that people who wouldn't want to publicly face and admit they're into those politics or they agree with those things about women or whatever will be fed that by the TikTok algorithm, because it'll go, all right, you told me you want to follow like these 3 liberal accounts, but what you actually not skip over, it's when Tate appears on your screen, or it's when it tells you a lot about yourself. Or for me, to make it lighter, Barrymore pops in my screen, and it's like, just like, oh, very clearly I have not skipped along from Barrymore on TikTok enough, because now it just constantly refreshes my feed with videos of him like going to the corner. He loves his munchie time, he calls it. He's going to the corner shop, or he's going to like chicken houses and trying like the new hotness that's in there, or he's trying like the American franchises that are coming over. It's a whole thing, mate. And it's bled into my brain. So like I say, if you were on the app, I don't think you'd leave, because yours wouldn't be full of Tate Brothers. Yours would just be full of Barrymore. Yeah,
I have been sent a few Barrymore clips from TikTok before, which obviously I've watched. But yeah,
makes its way to Instagram as well, doesn't it? You see it there too. But
yeah,
fucking hell, there you go. We all find out who we are in the closet at night at 3 a.m, scrolling one of the many apps. But enough about that. Moving on, just quickly, before we let you go, a couple of other topics to hit. Just wants to mention Wrestle Kingdom, obviously coming up as well. I'll run through the card quickly, as we do know it in full. Tanahashi Okada, Takeshi Yotsuji, Evil Aaron Wolf, who when I was in Japan, fuck me, they don't half push the fact that they've got Aaron Wolf. Feels like a very big deal. Taiji Shimori, El Desperado, Sho, and Kosei Fujita. There's a 10-man United Empire match that has now got Andrade in it, which is wild. Somehow he's made his way back to New Japan. But that's where Gabe Kidd is too. It's Dave Finlay, Dan Maloney, David Finlay, and Gabe Kidd, Hiromu Takahashi, and Shingo Takagi make up the numbers. And on the other side, Callum Newman, Great Khan, Hanare, Andrade, and Bushi. I don't really understand how all of those characters make sense. Yeah, bad stuff. But Andrade being in is interesting. Suri versus Seiya Kamatani's on the show. They're using the Rambo to do their never open weight 6-man belts, which again, I won't go through the list of teams in that. And then also added this week, just because we knew you're coming on this show, mate, a cockpit special offer match, New Japan World TV title, El Phantasmo versus Chris Brookes at a sold-out Tokyo Dome. I don't know if you agree with us. Like, Chris Brookes gets a lot of pelters from us, but fair enough, mate. You know, a lot of people took that NXT UK money. A lot of people went to Enfield and took the 15 grand. He went off on a gap year, a bit like me. You know, maybe a bit old for it, a bit like me. Travelled Asia, worked in Japan, got a foothold in DDT, became a bit of a name there, worked the bar, did whatever he needed to do to get ahead in DDT. And now he's got a Wrestle Kingdom match. Like, I joke about it. Like, we it's a common theme on this podcast. I don't think we always said nice things about Chris Brookes. And I think he feels a certain way about us because of it. But I always open these conversations with, genuinely, I respect the man. I respect that he's done that. I respect that he's gotten himself to a Wrestle Kingdom match on Tanahashi's last show. Like, I'd take that rather than there being Leon Slater and getting a match on John Cena's last show. Like, 60,000 people. Like, the boy's done well. Whatever we think.
Yeah, fair play to him. Like, from the cockpit to the Tokyo Dome. Like, I'm absolutely sure I saw that match at the cockpit once upon a time.
Oh, you will have, yeah. 100%. It's the most cockpit match ever.
Yeah, it's got Andy Quill. It's almost like Wrestle Kingdom's been outsourced to Andy Quilden for a match. It's like, Andy, book us a match. We've got this talent to choose from. It has to be an undercard match. It can't be one of your dream main event matches. And he's just thrown that one together. It like bizarre, random,
Wild.
but yeah, fair play to Chris Brookes. And the criticisms I don't think were ever of him in terms of his sort of marketing or personality. It was more the in-ring, wasn't it? That we always found a bit limited and input in positions that were maybe kind of too high. And I think people have bought into him a bit too much when he wasn't.
Or getting the tone wrong. Like, he'd be giving, like, remember that time Aussie Open and him in, who was it? It was one of the CCK teams, like, at a York Hall show. And they just went out there and just did comedy. It was Gresham, and they just did comedy for 25 minutes. It was JP's mate John, and they just went out there and did like comedy spots for 20 minutes. Like, you were the first half main event. What are you doing? Like, there was a lot of those moments, but he'd make up for it by being everyone's mate at the merch table, and that was because he was a charming, good-looking lad who could sell some merch, and was a good businessman, wasn't he? Even if we didn't rate him as a wrestler.
And I don't know if he's improved in the ring because I've not. I'll be honest. When you sent me that screenshot, Benno, I don't think I'd fought a Chris Brookes since 2020. I can't lie. So it was like, a bit of a blast in the past. And I don't know if he's improved in the ring, but I'm sure I'll find out on January the 4th because I will absolutely be watching that match when I flick.
Did he not come to mind every time you saw Dean Gaffney? No, when you're watching your retro EastEnders, did that not come up? I guess Wellard's not with him for this one. Paul, like, say that Wellard, like us himself, was one of the extras on the Dynamite Manchester one. So there might still be hope for them too.
Well, Tony Khan clearly a big fan of vintage EastEnders and thought the more Wellards the better, you know. So I saw Nathan Cruz was on a Collision. I was going
to mention that.
I'm running straight through that. The last time I thought of him was when he wrote his article about building a tiki bar in his garden on the indie corner of the dying days of that during COVID.
I forgot he used to write for Indie Corner, didn't he? Like Stuart having write stuff for the site.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, he predated us on Indie Corner.
Absolutely, yeah. Not a name I'd thought about in a long time, and I'd be honest with you, no interest in watching the match, even though he was facing Eddie King, because he's one of my favourites. So, fair play to him for getting the booking, though. But yeah,
I always liked him.
Fair enough, mate. But yeah, fair play to Chris Brookes. Probably the kind of moment of his career, really, right?
Gotta be. Like, it's massive, and like, it's interesting they've chosen him for this moment as well. Like, it tells you maybe there might be something more in the works there, either with a DDT relationship or just with Brookes outright, you know, doing more New Japan stuff. You say, has he improved? I mean, I can't tell you. Like, the bits I've seen of him, I didn't go when I was in Japan. I didn't go to a DDT show. To be honest, I didn't even go to the DDT bar. I wish I had, because it looks like a fun time. But I did go to, you know, that what's it called? The Murder Death Bar. What's it called? The bar on in the Golden Guy. Deathmatch in Hell. I don't know if you went there when you were there, but a million people recommended it to me. But there was a little wrestling bar 3 doors down. Way better, loads of wrestling stuff all over the walls, but it was literally like you could tell Brookes was mates with the little lady who ran the place because his face was fucking everywhere. But that was as close as I came to seeing him.
That seems kind of mad, doesn't it? Like, you think about, like, I don't know, seeing Chris Brookes' natural environment in like Wolverhampton or somewhere, then walking into a bar where it sounds like he's like sort of being Alan Partridge obsessive fanned, if anything.
I think he's taken those lessons of like that small market and that, like, okay, what can I do? I'll do back at Gaijin to Japan instead of, you know, doing fucking CCK and all of that stuff. Like, it's the same stuff. It's just working in Japan, and it's literally resulted in, you know, working for New Japan. Like, fair play.
Good on him. I'm sure he's got a great life out there.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. I'd be golden. I'd be in the gold. You didn't like the golden guy when you're not there, would you? But I'd be there. I'd be there every week, mate, back and forth.
I think I want to go back to Tokyo at some point. To be honest with you,
yeah. I'll be there in the new year. I look forward to it. I'm going to be doing Osaka probably. I don't know if I've told you this off air. Me and Steph are going to try and live in Osaka for a month, but we'll do Tokyo at some point and do a visit as well.
Fair play, mate. You enjoy yourself.
Thank you. But anyway, yeah, Wrestle Kingdom. Any other thoughts on the rest of the show? I guess the big matches are probably where to go. What's your interest levels?
Looking forward to the Tanahashi one. I think it's going to be everything the Cena retirement kind of wasn't. And I think actually you are seeing the retirement of someone who is like the whole John Cena goat bollocks. I just, and the kind of whole brand opportunity around it makes me sigh to go back to Cena. But with Tanahashi, I think, there's a genuine shout that he is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I don't think that can be denied. And if anyone was to say that, I wouldn't disagree with them or argue the point, to be honest with you. So you are seeing, I guess, the end point of someone who, let's be honest, was a big part of this show when we were doing it together. It's continued to be a big part of the show since I went as well. Yeah. And the
reason we stopped doing Brit Res, isn't it? Really, it's the Tanahashi, Okada, and New Japan. It was just like, we need to cover this. It's too good.
And the first show me and JP went to together was Tanahashi versus Marty Scurll at York Hall. Even in terms of maybe the
not the Reading one, no, not Okada Ospreay, but I remember seeing you there. I was talking about
that was JP didn't go to that one. That was 20. That was 20. Was that 2014 or 15? This was 2013. It was me, JP, and my brother. And I'm trying to think of what was on. Brett was there as well on that show. So you had the whole thing with Brett and Tanahashi in the ring at the end that Quilden wanted to do. So even in the sort of birthing of this show, from that point, me and JP started trying to go to wrestling shows together regularly. And then, when JP came out of his wrestling closet, we were able to openly talk about it all the time. So, So Tanahashi, I think, pivotal in a weird way, and Grapple being here today.
Of course, all of it. Those shows, like say the Redden show, massively important as well. Also, created an in-joke. Matty wasn't even there, but like Gary or one of our other mates overheard you telling me something about Ospreay's mum, and it literally became Matty's running joke every time he saw me for the next 3 months. So, how was Ospreay's mum? Your mate told you how Ospreay's mum is, and I was like, you're missing the entire context. Now that he knows you, he gets the context of that.
I think it was Ospreay's dad because I was.
Oh, was his dad? Oh, it was his dad. That's what it started.
Ospreay's dad.
That's how.
And we were chatting about Chelsea. It was Mourinho's second run at Chelsea, I think, and he was kicking off about Mourinho, or I can't remember the game, but it all gone wrong there. But
well, good for the chat always was Ospreay's dad, as was his mum about the roast as well.
As was his mum. I think I met her a couple of times as well. She was very nice.
Good people. But yeah, like. I don't see Tanahashi Okada being any good, or at least I say any good. So obviously, it's not going to be what it was 10 years ago. Are they going to play the hits though? Is it going to be emotional? Is any of it going to matter once you get the post match? Like, I don't know if you've heard the conversation about it, but a couple of months ago there was some back and forth of like, should they be the main event? Of course, they should be the main event, especially now they fucking sold out the dome. And it should be all about Tanahashi in the post match.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's no way we can expect them to be where they were 10 years ago. The way I think about it is, I'm still hanging in there with EastEnders, Benno. And is it as good as it was 20, 25 years ago? Absolutely not. But is it still enjoyable if you just embrace elements of it and you would lower your expectations? Fucking right it is. I think Barry and Pat came back in a flashback last night. So got that to look forward to.
Steph told me about that.
Podcast. Yeah, can't wait.
I can't believe another year has gone by. I haven't bullied you, Andy Quilden, and Steph into doing some kind of EastEnders podcast on this network. There's still time. Maybe we can make it happen.
I don't know who would listen. That's the problem. Is there an
you three would be the main listeners, to be fair. I think people would listen. People would listen.
I guess it would be you get more access to Andy Quilden. I think that would be their main point of interest. And then he'll probably get pelters on Twitter about spending too much time on his EastEnders podcast and not doing enough around his booking.
Oh, that'd come 100%. But yeah, one day I'll get you on that same page. But yeah, like I say, Tana Okada. It's going to be about the post match, and we're all going to be in floods of tears afterwards. And like I say, it was like going back and watching that one from 10 years ago did give me a big hit of nostalgia. And I said to you, this year is going to be a lot of that nostalgia because that 10 years ago, that 2015, 2016, 2017 run, we didn't know how good we had it, and I think we're going to get flashbacks and reminders of that on on January 4th as well. But there we go. The 10-year anniversary of when I bumped into you and JP at the Chat Shit Get Bang Progress show is coming up as well. But I can't imagine we'll be doing a nostalgia podcast for that with the list of characters on the show.
No. Also, I was thinking about this recently because I work now right by the Electric Ballroom. So I
you mentioned that.
I walk past the Electric Ballroom all the time. So obviously, like, it gets the old memories sort of flowing as I'm walking by.
You, JP, and Regal, sat in the bar over the road, all of them. Laying the plans for NXT UK.
Yeah, but I think, they were, weren't they? But I was thinking to myself, I just have no nostalgia for actually watching Progress back. I've got nostalgia for the era. I've got nostalgia for, like, us hanging out and having a good time. I've got no nostalgia for, like, the matches or the cards, or I have no desire to ever watch it back, which is for other wrestling. Like all the other wrestling that I've watched and consumed throughout life, it's there for. But that, I don't know, it's in a kind of odd headspace, I guess.
No, I get what you mean, and there's obviously baggage as well, isn't there? With everything that came out of it. But for me, you're right. Like I missed, like, say, that first time where I just on a whim went down to watch the show and bumped into you. Obviously, I hadn't seen you in a while, and obviously I'd never met JP that day. Like, it's that. And because then every other time I'd go, it'd be to see you guys, really. It'd be coming down, like you say, for the social element of it, and to, like, chat while shit was happening in the ring. But, like, I think there was something to it. I think that's why I'd be more interested in doing a whole show than, say, looking at the odd match or looking at, like, a super strong style or something. Like, I want to see if I can get that feeling, if watching the full show make me feel like that time and place and, like, say, the music and the setting and all of that. But we probably were kidding ourselves that what was in front of us was maybe better than we thought. But
I know, I think we knew.
Said it, though, the talent level was very high then too. So
Benno, think how much shit we got when we would criticize them, and we were like the first.
Absolutely.
Not to big ourselves up, but we were the first.
That was our breakthrough
podcast that would, like, actually break stuff down and criticize it. And then we got told off for being negative. We got Trumpian like attacks, MAGA style attacks for putting scorn on this promotion that could do no wrong, basically.
Do you remember? I always say it on these podcasts. People have heard me tell the story 40 times, but I don't think I've ever talked to you about it. But, like, when they announced the Cruiserweight Classic, it was not to do the UK tournament, the entire place erupted in cheers. And me, you, and JP being like, it was almost like, that we were the only ones awake in the Matrix, looking at each other going, that's not good. Like, this is the punk rock company. What are they fucking doing? And us being the only three people who weren't going insane. Like, I think that was our wake up moment. And that was when, obviously, the proper version of this podcast was born.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know how we got onto that, to be honest with you, but yeah, lots of nostalgia possibly coming in the next year or so.
Because before that, we were drinking the Kool-Aid before we became the proper haters that we are to this day. We were doing that stuff. Oh, isn't Brit Res great? Luckily, we woke up from the Matrix.
It was a great era. Like, it was a great time to go along, and look at where Brit Rest wrestlers are now as well. I often think there's a good map you could kind of draw on where people have gone. It's a shame that Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are kind of be falling off that map into the sea at this moment.
Well, we're going to talk about Tyler Bate in a minute. Fucking hell. Where's the mask?
Oh, are we? Let's do it.
Well, no other thoughts on New Japan then? That's that Wrestle Kingdom. You gonna watch it? You gonna go up? I know it's your birthday, January 4th. That's the other sneaky thing, isn't it? Long-time listeners will remember.
Well, you'll be shocked to know, Benno, I'm going to London that day for a meet and Cooper and his wife with Lucy, and we're going to a place that he's been raving about for years, which is a spot for a roast dinner. The highest rated roast dinner in the country, I think.
Takashi Yotsuji in the background, though, surely, yeah?
Say it again.
Takashi Yotsuji in the background, no?
Well, I think we both get killed if we even tried that or even broached it. But it'd be good if we were in a Japanese bar, because it absolutely would be on in there. But
that's what I'll be doing in Osaka.
On the evening when I get home, I'll flick through the show and I'll watch I'll be watching Chris Brookes and El Phantasmo. That's my main event. And then I'll watch the main matches, basically. So yeah, I'm not going to be watching it closely, let's say.
Fair enough. Well, I said there, obviously we talk a little bit. The only other thing you've watched this week, which again you surprised me, obviously in tribute to JP, whose weighty shoes you're filling in on this week. We can't have you on without you taking your duties. Let me just check my notes. Mexican wrestling lucha libre correspondent Joe Lemon has been watching Triple A this week. You shocked me when you told me privately, but then I realized it was in the main event, and maybe I wasn't too shocked. Did you watch the whole show? That's what I want. No. We didn't even preview it. I did weekend show with Andy on Friday, and because JP wasn't here, God love him, we just didn't have it down on the list. It was on neither of our radar. There was even a Triple A show this weekend, but it was on your radar, mate. And yeah.
Well, when I knew I was kind of going to fill in for JP for a week, I thought, well, I've got to kind of try and replace the man in every way possible, and he's quite irreplaceable. Let's be honest. In many ways, I thought first of all I put a Bukayo Saka Christmas jumper on, which might be a little bit of an Arsenal tribute to the man. As well.
I didn't spot that. Nice.
But then I thought, well, I've got to put my Lucha Libre hat on. And outside of a little bit of CMLL here and there, which is a fantastic live experience, I'll say that, I thought, no, I've got to get fully into the weeds on AAA, because that's what, the JP purists would ultimately want, really, wouldn't they? Because, that's where his strengths lie. But no. So
he'd be telling you to read a history book, though. Like with some of the bits I did see on this show, some of the fucking propaganda about, like, it's basically the 80s story again, isn't it? We took it from smoky ballrooms, and now it's mainstream, and it's accepted, and it's... What? What?
Yeah, it's not been a cultural tradition there for 100 years, has it? You know, where they've had arenas that have been there for years that people have gone to.
CMLL is still filling, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. But no, let's create our own version of propaganda and live in our own matrix. But no, It was actually, what I watched of it was quite good fun. The presentation was good. The Vikingo, I'm trying to think of the Vikingo was against. My mind's gone totally blank. Who was Vikingo against? I watched it yesterday.
I'll pull it up. I'll let you talk.
God, where's my mind? Sorry, buddy, you might have to edit this bit.
Guerrera de Titans was the show, wasn't it? So we had Vikingo Dragon Lee, and we had Rey Mysterio and Phoenix versus Dom and El Grande Americano. They were the top two matches, weren't they?
Yeah, those are worth watching. Actually, those were really good fun. The heat that in the Vikingo match was kind of mental, and it felt like genuine, proper heat. It didn't feel like it was kind of like play along heat. Like, it felt like Vikingo was actually hated. So it was quite cool to watch a match that had that kind of actual atmosphere and that kind of buzz around it. It wasn't as good as that MJF Mystico match. I think that was even further amped up. But in terms of seeing WWE present that, it was kind of a bit wild. I'd say that was worth watching. And then actually the main event, the Dominic Mysterio stuff, I think he's the person in WWE outside of your Gunthers and your Sami Zayns and your Io Shirai that I'm most into, really, in terms of knowing exactly how to engage a modern audience, a young audience, and what works for that kind of age bracket. Absolutely on it. And the ever never-ending Eddie Guerrero tribute, I kind of can't get enough of either.
He's the only one who can do it, everyone else should just fucking stop. Especially people doing it to be baby faces. No, it should be done.
Yeah, and he's got the background there with him being being his real dad and all the rest of it as well. So no, long may that continue. But they need to do the proper Dom Ray feud again at some point and actually blow this off. I don't know if that's going to be a Mysterio retirement at some point.
I think they're holding the water on that. It's one of those feuds they can always go back to, and they haven't done it too much. They haven't overdone it. They haven't blown it off on a random Raw. I know they've had matches, but it still feels like something, you're right, could main event a pay-per-view.
Do you know what
or main event the Rey Mysterio retirement show, totally.
The other thing I think they're doing with it as well is, how Eddie never beat Mysterio? Ray always beats Dom, and I think they're playing off that a little bit as well with it, which is quite a smart route to go down, if anything, as well. And the only thing I'd say that I didn't like watching the show was JBL on commentary. I thought I'd had the last of him as a commentator. But
One Night Stand era stuff. I guess he got he was all right the early SmackDown era. I did like
he was. Yeah. But this was has JBL watched any AAA recently? What's he doing there? Him and Conan. That was a kind of wild thing to hear.
I can't believe Carlos is still getting up those bookings. It's a bit like Jesse Ventura being back on Saturday Night's main event. You think at some point they're going to pull Conan from those broadcasts.
Oh, mate, I fucking loved Jesse Ventura on Saturday Night's main event. Fantastic. Couldn't get enough of him. He was one of the reasons I watched.
Well, if you win the belt 17 times, that means you've lost it 17 times, doesn't it? Yes, Jesse, you are correct.
Yeah, keep it up, Jesse.
Right, didn't he? Why would you go out the door? Why wouldn't you try and pin the man or whatever the thing he said about the cage match? It's logic, innit? Like, that's the problem. He's just like he's us in the electric ballroom, seeing the world for what it is, and amongst a WWE Kool-Aid drinking generation.
Well, when Jesse was in a film like The Running Man as well, which is all about fooling the masses.
Ben Richards.
Yeah. Jesse knows what he's talking about. I rewatched The Old Running Man recently. Brilliant. He's amazing in it, but you need more Jesse in that film.
We reviewed The Running Man very early in the Patreon run, but I feel like maybe when we get JP back next Christmas, that could be we could re-review it, me, you, and JP. So get Gareth on again, because I know he loves that film too. That could be a plan. But yeah, the only thing I knew about the main event was that apparently Dom has separated his shoulder. Apparently it was on a tornado DDT from Ray. So hopefully he's not out too long. But I'm with you. I love him. I really do. And he's another one this year. I don't know if his booking's been ideal, especially the teasing of going babyface for so long and then him not, and then it felt a bit MJF, didn't it? Where it was like they could have gone full babyface with him, but then if they did that, would that be the best thing for the character long term? Would we be in this weird situation that MJF's in now? So maybe it was the right decision not to go with it, but it's been not perfect, his booking this year, and he is like consistently the most entertaining part of the run. Like, I'm sure you heard Matty say it, like he's the one person you can point at who you could absolutely say benefited from the Cena run, like from getting those couple of matches and from getting that rub. It felt like he was elevated a bit. So yeah, he's been killed a little bit by the booking this year, but he's been mostly booking proof.
Yeah, and long may that continue, to be honest with you. I don't know, where you go with him in the next short while either, because I thought to myself, if he's injured, he's at the Royal Rumble, and I thought that he's someone that the Royal Rumble could almost be built around to get him over more this year. Like, I think there's a really good Royal Rumble match that you can book around Dom, but then at the same time, Saudi Royal Rumble as well. I think I might skip that one this year.
I know, I'll be in Belfast for that. So me and Steph will watch it live because it's still a Rumble, isn't it? And it's at a decent time, UK time, but won't be the same. Tony should have done that. Should have booked it. Never mind, next year should have done a casino battle royal or something like that on the same night. Could have babyfaced himself, but hey ho. Any other thoughts on that, on Triple Mania? Anything else? Wrestling, non-wrestling? Anything else you want to throw in?
Can probably talk forever, to be honest, Benno. There's no shutting me up once I get going, so probably don't.
Any thoughts on the EastEnders Christmas show? Any thoughts?
Been a great year. I've stayed in there all year this year. The Nigel Phil storyline, I think I mentioned it when I was on here before. The bromance that I never knew that I needed. Been fantastic. Culminating in Nigel, who is a massive cineast, directing his own film on the square. Like, some of the film references you hear in there as well, they're niche, and they're references that I'm sat next to my wife pissing myself at. She's got no idea what's going on. I'm like, no, this is why I'm loving this storyline. They're now to play to an audience of one. Like, good on them.
Any thoughts on the Brookside comeback? Basically, it was Hollyoaks, wasn't it? Really? Because that's what it was.
Did you see it?
Only again through Steph. Like, she was filling it as it was going.
Hilarious, but pointless and tragic, and sort of pointed to where
indulgent, maybe.
Yeah, and pointed to where soap opera is a dead genre, but a genre that you can now experiment in quite a lot because no one's really watching it, and a lot of it is based on nostalgia and old people enjoying old references. It was great to see Sinbad. It was good to see Mick Johnson. He's still looking hench. Barry Grant looking a bit worse for wear these days.
Oh, that's a shame. I mean, that's the crossover everyone wants, though. EastEnders and Brooklyn. Never mind this Coronation Street Emmerdale gimmick they ran this year, mate.
Yeah,
this, proper stuff.
I saw that was going on, but for me, I was a Corrie fan, never an Emmerdale fan. As I've said before, Emmerdale just too rural for my taste.
Rural England.
Yeah, fuck that. Boring. Like, as soon as I start smelling cow pat, I run a mile, honestly. If ever Coronation Street wants to invade Albert Square, I'm there for that.
Well, quick one. We'll probably, because we're doing the grappies next week, I don't think we'll have it. The traditional Ask Grapple at Christmas, obviously. I feel wrong to do it without JP as well. But any other thoughts on you? Any TV or films of the year outside of soap stuff? Anything else?
Film of the year, one battle after another, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree.
hands
JP was
down.
big on that. Like, he pretty much bullied me into going to see that in the cinema in Chiang
Really?
Mai, and I'm glad I did. I almost went to the version with Thai verbiage and English subtitles, but I saw it with Thai subtitles instead. It was very good. They make you stand up and do the national anthem comes on. You've got to respect the king. I had to take my hat off in the cinema. Yeah, very formal out here. But film was great afterwards, though. Yeah, great 3 hours.
Experience if there ever was one, mate.
Yeah, I don't know what would have happened if I didn't stand up, but I paid respect.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that was so. I went to see it on a Saturday. Loved it so much. I went back on the Sunday. So that's where I was with that. TV. God, I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of TV is just shite now, and it's just content for content's sake. I'm currently rewatching The Sopranos with my wife. So,
amazing! I need to get Steph on that. That and The Wire. Steph's never seen The Wire. I need to make that a mission, maybe. Especially with the actor who played Ziggy Zabaka died this weekend, didn't he? James Ransom.
Yeah, tragic stuff. I'm trying to think of any TV show that stands out on top of my head, and like literally nothing comes into my head. So, I think TV has very much peaked for me, if anything. I'll tell you what.
I've been watching The Bear this year. You're a Bear fan? Steph got me into that. I'm watching all of that.
My problem with The Bear was when my job was incredibly stressful. I put an episode of it on with my wife again, who's also a teacher, and it felt like I was at work because the pacing of it was
stress.
so like mental. I was like, I can't.
It reminded me of Uncut Gems. I only ever watched the first half of it. I got halfway through and I was like, I know it's the point. I know it's exactly what they're trying to do, but I'm too stressed out watching this. I've got too much anxiety.
I did love that. Yeah, I think I watched that at a calmer moment, possibly. I'm intending to go back to The Bear at some point. I do know what my TV show of the year is, actually. It's a documentary called Shifty by Adam Curtis on iPlayer.
Okay.
Yeah, that was amazing. And it's all on YouTube as well. They've got some deal with the BBC where they can put his documentaries on YouTube. Not sure why. But it's all about how Thatcher changed the psychology of the UK in the 1980s. And it's entirely done using just archive footage.
Oh, that's interesting. No AI, just real footage?
Just real footage from the BBC archive. He's got access to the entire BBC archive. A lot on Liverpool, actually, in some of the early episodes.
Oh, really?
Like Stiff riots and kind of like managed
poll tax stuff.
Yeah, a lot of that in there.
I'd watch that. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, for me, like, I'm with you. We're doing the graphics, so I'll hold my water at the end of the week. But it isn't a long list of films and TV I've seen. Maybe I'll check that out. There's a Lena Dunham vehicle someone was recommended to me, but it's whether I can spend time watching it. Yeah, outside of The Bear. And what I thought you were going to say about The Bear is John Cena turns up in like the season I'm up to, like season 3. He's like a long lost cousin or like friend of the family. It's just so weird. It doesn't fit at all. Like, what's he doing in this universe? It was a good crossover between like the Von Erichs and John Cena, but outside of that, wasn't into it. So took me out of it a bit. But yeah, film wise, apparently the highest thing I rated is Sorry Baby, which I don't even remember seeing this year, and Kneecap, which I think is a 2024 film, so I don't think that counts either.
I think one of the worst films I saw this year was starring Jeremy Allen White, actually, which was the Springsteen film, I'm a massive Springsteen fan, and it was absolutely awful. It was one of the dullest, most uninteresting, uninspiring films I've ever seen. So don't bother with that one.
No, probably won't. Yeah, I saw it on Letterboxd. It was quite low rated as well. But I'm always following you along on Letterboxd, mate, for any potential recommendations.
Oh, yeah.
Relatively quiet year. Maybe I'll squeeze some in before. I'll be doing my Christmas film watching this week, so maybe I'll.
Did you watch The
squeeze
Smashing Machine, by the way?
I still haven't seen it. No, I think JP went and saw it. I'm almost certain he did, but I believe everyone who says it's good, and that Dwayne did a good performance.
Yeah, he was unbelievable in it. Like it's quite a unique film. Doesn't follow any kind of like patterned kind of formula. And really is loads of documentary as well. But performance-wise, great. The other two I'd say that I loved were Eddington, which was about like the COVID era and our kind of hysteria and where we are now. That was good. And Weapons was great as well.
Oh yeah, I like Weapons. Yeah, I haven't included that. Yeah.
Other than that, The Marching Powder, starring Danny Dyer. Big fan of that one.
That's very you. It's something with Danny Dyer, or like every now and then you'll WhatsApp me with like some random 90s film that you've seen. I always take those recommendations very seriously.
Yeah, there we go. Right, I've just got a message saying I'm hungry from my wife. So.
Well, we'll let you go, mate. Thank you for filling in. Obviously, JP away at the minute. I know you did want to mention that as well. Obviously, you've you've been with JP in the last couple of weeks, and obviously our
Yeah,
patrons
yeah.
are always thinking about him and looking for updates type thing. But obviously taking a bit of time for himself at the minute.
I saw him on Friday. We had a good session. We had a good time, and he was doing a lot better than he previously was. So I think he was quite happy for me to come on here today to fill his, fill his boots. And why that sounds so awkward saying that?
It's a very JP statement, that, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, it's all about growing hairs on your chest. Might be the next thing I might say as well, though, because that's one of his.
Now we're sucking diesel.
yeah, but no, he was doing better, and I think obviously wants to be back at some point. But no, he's doing all right. So yeah, just an update there, and I'm sure he wishes everyone in the Grapple universe a Merry Christmas.
Great stuff. Well, hopefully we'll hear from JP soon. But boss mate, always good there. Turning back the years and having you on. We won't leave it quite so long this time, but usually I say to my guests, any plugs? Is it the traditional leave me alone?
What have I got to plug, mate?
Fair. Well, have a good Christmas.
Plug away.
What have we got going on? Crappies coming up this weekend, so people can look forward to that. We're doing Wrestlicious with one of our kings of the mountain, Eddie Sauber. I don't know if you know Eddie. He likes to put us through our paces and pick the worst possible project for us to cover. Women's wrestling promotion led by Jimmy Hart from the 2000s. As bad as it sounds, we're going to be
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. He's always involved in some form. It was I don't know if you remember from back in the day, it was like some lottery winner. He won the lottery in America and decided to put all his money into running a women's wrestling company and called it Wrestlicious. The talent is really good, but the gimmicks and everything around it is... I was saying to the lads, I'm going to have to watch that on my plane back to the UK on my 10-hour flight back, and I'm hoping no one sat next to me and looking over my shoulder because ropey fucking stuff. But that's coming up. That's to look forward to. And World's End review, Wrestle Kingdom review, all the normal stuff as well. And like I say, hopefully in the new year we'll have JP back around these parts as well.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on, Benno, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, all. We'll see you on the next one. Go nice.